Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to Know Your Gear QA podcast number 196, but on a Thursday. What is the heck going on? No, I'm just kidding. See, wrong day, and then I didn't even mute the sound yet. All right, so what's going on is I knew a couple days on Tuesday I wasn't going to be able to do the Friday show, and so I was thinking about doing it on Wednesday, and then I came up with this idea to do it next Mondays. That's what I did during last year during NAMM. Anytime I'm out of town, if I can't do it on Friday, I do it the following Monday, and it kind of dawned on me this morning that if I do it the day before the show goes, that anyone who wants to watch the show tomorrow can still watch it. They just don't get to watch it live. So, and it opens up some new people to hang out with and some new opportunities. And I did one of these a couple months ago where I did it on Thursday early in the morning to get more of the European time zone. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it this morning either. So this looked like the best opportunity to do this. And I didn't want to skip a week. That's kind of, when I started doing this, that's what I would do. If I couldn't do a Friday show, I'd skip it. But this is it. We're here. All right. So if you're new to this show, especially since it's a new day, you want to talk to me, ask me a question, please put a question mark first so I know you're at least directing the question or the comment towards me so I know to look for it. And if you're watching the rebroadcast, as always, I timestamp all the things we talk about and a lot of stuff to talk about. So if you guys don't have crazy stuff to talk about, which I hope you probably will because you always do, I have stuff I got to talk about. So cool stuff. Some big changes. I don't know. I don't want to be exaggerating. Big changes to the channel? No, not big changes. Just some interesting adjustments to what you'll be seeing coming soon, coming forward to the show. As always, I like to try to hit the first questions that come on, and I actually pin them and put them in order this time, like I'm supposed to, like a professional channel, almost. This is from Sergeant Power Wiener. I need to always pause for a second on that one. It's a little bit of a 12-year-old chuckle. Anyways, just bought a JTM 50 replica Dream amp and think I'll get buyer's remorse eventually without a Marshall logo. Greetings from Yuma. I don't know. You won't get buyer's remorse, but yes, is there something that draws us to the marketing, the branding? Oh, absolutely. It's why cars now, they can change the logos on a car and call it a premium vehicle. You know what I mean? Of course, logos, logos have appeal. There's something about that. Owning a Marshall, owning a Gibson, owning a Fender. That being said, there's also something to having something. There's also something to say for having something unique and different. So I don't think you'll have buyer's remorse. I just don't think you will. But will it settle the urge or the desire to own that coveted Marshall? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but what I can tell you though is if you give me a choice, if you got the JTM 50 replica and it's a great amp and you save some scratch, or you spent a little bit more but got something a little bit more premium that you enjoy more, maybe you can scratch that itch. I don't know why you got two fingers when you scratch. Anyone scratching themselves with two fingers like a piece? I don't know. Anyways, get a Marshall fridge. That's what you do. You get the Marshall fridge and you get your, they don't make Marshall beer. Fender should make beer and then they could sell it to people who buy a Marshall fridge and you put the beer in the Marshall fridge. I say that like I'm condescending and picking on people with Marshall fridges. Keep in mind, I would own a Marshall fridge. I just don't have anywhere to physically put it. If I had a space that I could physically fit that thing, I probably would have bought it, but I don't. So space is very limited in my areas. So that's my Sergeant Power Wiener. I think you're gonna be happy, but you can always buy a Marshall fridge. There you go. And if you don't have a room for a fridge like me, then you get yourself a Marshall Bluetooth speaker. That's how you fill the Marshall, gap in your life. The next one is from Dead Fish. Dead Fish says, any good ideas for a guitar Valentine's Day gift? Oh, I should pre-read these for my wife so I can use it later. What? Good ideas for a Valentine's Day gift for my wife so I can use it later. So this is like the Homer Simpson bowling ball, right? The episode where Homer Simpson buys Marge a bowling ball. You could do that. here's the thing, and I know you're going for kind of the joke of this, and I know I got to stick with the vein of that, but I really want to kind of tell you a secret sauce that I've learned when it comes to your significant other and goodies for you and goodies for her or goodies for him, depending on, And so here's the thing. The legitimate gifts really get you more anyways. You know what I mean? Yeah, you could get, I know you're going for the joke, but I'm just in theory. If you could get something for your wife or your significant other, spouse, and you, for the intent that you can use it later, sure, could you get away with that? Absolutely. Does it work? Yeah. But here's what I'll tell you. I'll tell you one of the best gifts I gave my wife last year, 2020. In fact, it was such a great gift that I bought it for my daughter and my son, and they all three have this gift. It was an amazing investment. I bought them all noise-canceling Bose headphones, which are, I don't know. I don't have a concept of headphones and cost, so I don't know if they're expensive or not. They felt psychotically expensive to me. They were like $200-ish because I bought them in all three different colors. I think my wife's got silver, my daughter got pink, and my son got black, so they all have different ones. Here's why it pays dividends. Not only because, they got headphones that they didn't want, but they all use them. I've never seen anything like it. They use them all the time. Just yesterday, I was playing my Marshall 50-watt Plexi at a, not a subtle volume. Not enough to get the cops here, but enough to where, it was painful. And, I opened the door after about 30 minutes of playing, and I thought, okay, let's see what my wife says. And she looked down, and there they were. She had the noise-canceling headphones, and so did everybody in the house. So if you want a great Valentine's Day gift suggestion, especially with a lot of people being stuck home now, homeschooling, home working, all that stuff, man, those noise-canceling headphones are just fantastic. I don't know if you have to buy the brand name ones. I didn't do any research or anything. I just Googled it, and then noise-canceling Bose headphones came up. So there's my suggestion for a Valentine's Day gift. Get them some noise-canceling headphones and a box of chocolates. I don't know. Maybe you don't need the chocolates, but you get the idea. That's my suggestion for that. All right. And it, like I said, they love it. They all love them. I find myself playing a little louder now. Although thank God they don't watch this live presentation every week because they would learn stuff and they'd probably be like, wait, if we stop wearing these headphones, he'll turn down. You're like, yeah, that'd probably not a good idea for them to see that. But they don't watch, so we're good. All right. Sometimes, I should just know this, sometimes my son watches, he rats me out. So there you go. Let's get to some more questions. Again, I'm getting some super chats and stuff, but I still have a couple more questions that I want to get from just the beginning of the show, and I'll come back to both sides. Super Lead 100, obviously a Marshall fan, says, hey, Phil, currently have a Yamaha DG 100 modeling amp from the 90s, but I want to replace it with a good tube combo under $1,000. Do you have any suggestions? What's funny about that amp in particular? Let me find it. Let me show everybody. That's the amp that, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, I can pull it up right here. Let me see if I can find one. That's the amp. Now, if you're listening to the podcast, it'll do no good. I'll just describe it. This is it. I found it already. Here we go. So I just thought that I'd share that. For those listening, it's a Yamaha amp that looks kind of like a Line 6 amp with a red face. What's the point of that? I don't know. Unfortunately, you have a modeling amp, which means I don't know what in the modeling amp you like. So I can't suggest a good tube amp for you. I just can't for under $1,000 because it just would be a random suggestion of. But what I can tell you is because you have a modeling amp, you actually are very informed in how to make your own tube amp recommendation. So here's what I mean by that. It's simple. That amp is modeling something. I would highly suggest that you figure out what it is in that amp you love. It's the thing I love about modeling amps. I always love when people go, hey, I want to get out of a modeling amp and get into a tube amp. What do you suggest? Well, everything in that amp is modeling a tube amp. Find out which tube amp that you like that they're modeling. What setting are you using? Probably going to lead you on the right path to finding the right amp. So in other words, here's a perfect example. no better example than this for me. I actually happened to me, so it can happen, to you anytime. You don't have to be beginner. I bought the Helix Stomp, and when I got the Helix Stomp, the HX Stomp, sorry, I like the Route 65 amp. I loved it. And I just kept going back to that setting. I hope that's the right name of it, but it was something like that, right? And of course, because they can't, copyright reasons, use the right term of the amp, I looked it up and it said that it was modeling a Dr. Z amp. I currently own a Dr. Z amp. The Dr. Z amp I've had now for the last year or two is because of that. I found a Dr. Z amp and one day and I bought it, and it was purely, I don't know why I'm pointing at things randomly. I'm just things in the room. I'm looking at the actual gear I'm telling you about, but you can't see it. So that's what I'm saying. I figured out, well, obviously I might like that amp, and I did. I do. I like the Dr. Z. So that's my suggestion for a tube amp for $1,000. That's easy. Find the tube amp that best fits your budget, which is $1,000. But I would definitely look at the current models that you're using on that amp. Find out what they sourced, which is easy to do now with the internet. In other words, what amp are they simulating, and find that, and you'll be happy, or you'll be close to happy. So there you go. Okay. But by the way, that is a very underrated and very good amp, in my opinion, the DG amp, by the way. I think a lot of the early modeling amps were a lot better than we gave them credit for. I find when the modeling stuff took off and with the Digitech and Art and of course, all that stuff. And then of course the amps, with Johnson, Line 6, Yamaha, there was a ton of other brands out there doing stuff. It's one of those things, like everybody had a great joy for it. It was like Techno Joy, they love it, or Techno Fear, which they hated it because it was just hard to figure out. And so many times, like the Cyber Champ by Fender and the Cyber Deluxe are extremely underrated amplifiers. They sound fantastic. They're great amps. So there you go. All right, let's, again, I'll go to some super chats. Just let me keep grabbing a couple of these early pinned ones for the people that came early. By the way, I appreciate you guys coming early and dropping a question. This one's from Chris. Chris says, have you ever played an Xaviere? Thoughts on them, the Pro 500 model specifically. The guys at Guitar Fetish, which is also Xaviere and Slick Guitars, reached out to me, I want to say late last year. Obviously, I have a video. So Balint, one of the viewers here who sent some really nice stuff to me over the years to check out, sent me 2 Slick guitars. I reviewed them both. One got like 1 million views, and one got, I don't know, like 500,000 views. Anyways, they reached out and said, hey, would you like to do another video? I sent them my request, and I haven't heard back. So, yeah, there you go. So that's the answer to your question. No, I've never tried that particular model. I've tried a couple of the Xaviere guitars in the past. I've come across them from customers working on their guitars, and that's a tough thing. Sometimes I have to watch myself when I talk about this stuff. Sometimes if I play the guitars, if I own the guitars, if I experimented with them, I can give you guys like, yeah, I liked it or didn't like it. Sometimes I'm really cautious of the only experience I have with the guitar is somebody brought it for me, not for a setup, but those all had issues. So I've worked on 2 Xaviere guitars, and they were both problematic, and so that's not fair, because that's like, I have a sampling of people bringing me broken stuff to fix. By that definition, you know what I mean? Anybody who just, anytime a brand, maybe the only experience I have is repairing it, I'm not going to have the best outlook on it. So I'd love to put my hands on some that are new, that aren't, done. Okay. All right. Okay. So let's hop around. Martin Murray says Sweetwater shipped my PRS 2408 Verde today. That's awesome. So that's good. They're in stock. I saw they were out of stock. That's great. I'm glad you got the Rize Verde. As you guys know, I love that color. I think I told you guys that, not during the video, but maybe during the live show. But the employee that came up with that finish is named Matt Ariza, and so Rize Verde is named after him, and also Mateo Blue is named after him because he's Mateo Verde. So no, Mateo Ariza. Sorry, Matt Ariza, Mateo Ariza. Verde is, I think, Spanish for green. I think. I could be totally wrong, but I know the Ariza part's right because I met him at the PRS event once, and he told me the story. Let's see. Hold on a second. Let me hop around. Okay, let me grab some questions over here. Refresh this, and here they are. Okay. The way the YouTube sometimes pumps in the questions is strange to me now. Jack's question is, well, I guess my employer will be getting very little productivity out of me when I watch this tomorrow, which is yesterday. That is correct. And yes, I hate to be the one that contributes to your employer's Don't let him hear us talking about this. Make sure if you're listening to work, like headphones, or keep it down. You don't want to be like, he's not working. Jack's not working. I would never rat out Jack for not working. Don't look over at Jack's space, and I was going to say cubicle. I have no idea. Don't look over at Jack's area. He's working. I'm working with Jack on a Zoom conference call. Thank you, Jack. He's like, I can just see it now. Phil McKnight, somebody super chats him and he gets him fired. What a jerk. And I would agree with that, by the way. All right. JSL Project says, hey, Phil, used your trick with the stick to find a bad preamp tube on a PV 5150 combo I purchased last week. Just picked up a new tube. Thank you for helping me know my gear. Dude, that's great that it worked out. You know, I like to make those quick videos. You know, all those tricks are usually stuff I learned from somebody else, or we all know, you know, not all, but, you know, there's just known tricks out there in the industry. And I try to make as quick references as fast as possible. I really find those videos don't do the biggest views, but when they get views, everybody like JSL is very thankful for fast information. You know, all of us has experienced like something's wrong with your pump. You know, you're like your pump or your you know, your grill or your plumbing, and you're like looking at YouTube videos, and 12 minutes in, they're like telling you about what they're going to teach you. So it's nice if they get right to the point. So I'm glad my get right to the point videos work for you. David says my 2008, I think it says 08. My 08 PRS HB2 hollow body 2 came with arch top pickups. I put in the SD59, Seymour Duncan 59s, and now I think I want something similar but slightly higher output. Recommendations. Okay, so the 59s, which are like a PAF, are too low output. You want something a little higher output, slightly higher output. It's pretty straightforward. A Jazz will have more kick. I mean, again, you're doing dual 59s, one in the bridge and one in the neck. So I would say, and I'm assuming both are not good for you because you didn't specify just the neck or just the bridge. So in this case, maybe if you want something a little more kick, the Jazz will have more kick than the 59 in my experience in the neck, and the JB, of course, will have a lot more kick than the 59. The great thing about this, David, if you're a Seymour Duncan fan, just keep in mind there's not a whole lot of pickups in the Seymour Duncan lineup that are as low and soft output as the 59s. They're kind of like the go-to for that tone. So if you're finding that tone's not working for you, almost everything is going to give you more kick. My only suggestion is you don't overshoot. So in other words, don't go to something really high output. I think you won't enjoy it as much. I don't think it will give you the result you're looking for. Maybe a JB and a Jazz. And again, I suggest that only because you're saying Seymour Duncan 59s. Makes it pretty straightforward, especially if you just bought those. You know, you get usually with Seymour Duncan, you get like a 20-day exchange if you can do that. Just contact them and see if they'll exchange out the pickups for some other pickups. And then Litvay said Thursday, ? Yeah, of course. Yes, it's Thursday. But it's a day earlier and therefore better. I should have pre-rehearsed. All right. Denver Darnell says, hey, Phil, what are your thoughts on D'Angelico guitars? I have a Brighton Deluxe in matte black, and I'm curious what you think of them. Also, I have a Fender Sonoran with the mother of pearl binding is cracking. Okay, any known fix? Okay, so I like D'Angelico guitars. there's really just not, there just hasn't been one that's ever lined up in my world, you know what I mean, to buy. You know, that's how it is. So most of these guitars that I own are happenstance. Just, you know, I get it in my crawl one night to like want one and I get one, or I, you know, like a lot of people, I just played it in a store one day and I'm like, oh, okay, this is it for me. I like this. So I get it. So that's usually how guitars come into my possession. So D'Angelico is just not, the stars have never lined up. And I can tell you right now, most guitars where like that, where the only place to find them for me are like Guitar Centers, and it's like 20 feet off the ground and you need a ladder to get there. So you got to get the employee in the ladder. I'm very not likely to get the employee to get the ladder in most cases. It's just not my, not something, you know, just to try a guitar. It's just not my thing. So I have very little experience with them as a guitar company, but they look beautiful. I just don't know anything else about them. On the Fender Sonorian with the mother pearl binding cracking, I'd have to see it, but yeah, there is a known fix. Generally speaking, it's fixed with some kind of form of super glue, usually some kind of, well, there's different viscosities, and that's probably not even the right term, but I have three different types of super glues that I use for things like that, from very liquidy to very thick, and it just depends. And a lot of times, like cracking and stuff like that, you can fix it with just a little super glue and a little bit of time. So that's how I would do it. That's how, I mean, again, I haven't seen it and I don't know. I'm just, so the core of your question is, can it be fixed? Is there a known fix? Yes. And what would be a common fix for that? Some kind of super glue. So super glue is used way more than you'd probably ever imagine in repair, even in the factories, at guitar factories. It's a pretty widely used stuff. So since we talked, it's a good segue time to talk about something I want to talk about for a second. Since we talked about D'Angelico guitars, I have some exciting news for you guys. I think it's going to be exciting for you guys. So let me take a drink of water and tell you. That's how I built up the anticipation. I have successfully figured out how to continue to do the Sharpen My Axe series. This is a very important announcement because it has been a very difficult and arduous road. Oh, did I say it that way? And I finally have the solution. The problem I've been having with Sharpen My Axe is that the way we were doing it before was, you know, somebody would send me a guitar and then I'd have to find the parts and source it and then get some kind of sponsorship. And it wasn't working. It just wasn't working. And this is something that we've all talked about many times on the podcast, and you guys have brought up, when are you going to do them? And I did a few here and there, and the ones I did where I didn't do it that way didn't seem to land that well. So here's what I did. I decided after a lot of thinking, it was a serious thing for me. It was a big deal for me. I decided to self-sponsor Sharpen My Axe. So what does that mean? Well, I went out yesterday. That's why I'm making the announcement today. Actually, it was Tuesday. I did it Tuesday, but it's okay because it's confirmed. So what I'm telling you isn't something we're going to do. It's something I just did. I went out Tuesday and I bought 8 guitars. I also then went out and bought all the parts for those guitars. So what is going to happen is I am going to do reviews of those guitars. Depends on the guitar and the situation. Will it be a review and then a Sharpen My Axe video, 2 videos out of the one guitar? Or will it just be one video where I do a review / Sharpen My Axe? It will depend on what I'm doing and how I feel like, what's the interest value of that video. But what's going to happen now is very simple. I bought these guitars. I bought all the components that are going into those guitars. I have secured 2 sponsors for those guitars. One of the sponsors is, and I say sponsored because again, I just want to hear, is Stringjoy. And Stringjoy and I worked out a deal. And to be honest with you, I just want to give credit to where credit's due. Scott at Stringjoy was totally willing to send me as many packs of strings as I needed for these guitars. However, he had basically I got a discount, but a super crazy discount. So it's worth it. I just want to let you know. The reason I tell you that is because he needs the credit for being a full sponsor of giving strings. So the only thing that's going to be consistent in all these videos is Stringjoy string will be the only strings I use in all the Sharpen My Axe videos going forward for the rest of the year. And so that is cool. And we did some custom sets of strings for these guitars. So I said we're going to go all out on this. The other thing that's great about this is what's going to happen is I'll do the videos, and then those guitars will be for sale on my Reverb site. And that's it. And that's how it works. So if you guys want to buy one, buy the one that's in the video, that's how it will go. And that's it. That's how we'll do it. And that way it's self-sponsored. And that is the only way I could do it. I would be lying to you guys, and I promise myself not to do that, to tell you that it's been the most aggravating, horrific experience dealing with companies on this issue. Companies not in, and I don't want to take any away, and I'm not trying to say they're evil. I'm not trying to say it's a corporate deal. It's literally just they don't understand the concept of, hey, wouldn't it be fun to, so guitar companies are not interested in me modding their guitars. I understand that, okay? This has come up many times as a company's like, why would we want you to take our guitar and then tell your audience why it's not that great and you have to fix it up? Even though I try to explain, like, it's not fixing it up. It's, just what could you do to it? Make it a little better. So again, and then parts companies, of course, if every sharp of my axe is, hey, Seymour Duncan pickups, it would lose a little luster too. So that's what I did. I pulled the trigger. I financed it. I wrote the check, so to speak. I literally paid for everything. And if you're curious to see what's coming, I'll tell you guys what guitars are coming for the Sharp My Axe. Anyone want to know? Right? Anyone curious? Somebody? Anyone? All right. I'm laughing. No one cares. All right. So anyway, basically, so I have those guitars coming, and I'm excited about that. I wanted to share with you. This is kind of something to get off my chest and just excitedly talk about it. It was really for me. Okay, so now you guys are saying sure and yes. Okay, so let me tell you the guitars that are coming. I have purchased, and that will be Sharp My Axe guitars. I purchased these are all guitars I purchased. I'm saying they're new. I think almost all of them are brand new, because again, it's about tricking them out. So I won't tell you what I bought for parts. I won't tell you what I'll be doing with these guitars. I will tell you though, just because you're hanging out today, which guitar will be first and what to look for. So the guitars that I bought are coming is I got the metallic almond Epiphone Muse. I bought one of those. I bought a Sire L7. Again, everything was suggested. All these guitars coming were suggested by my patrons. So I picked everything that they suggested to me. I have a Sterling Music Man coming that is going to be sharpened. I have, I'm trying to kind of look at my fingers to figure out, I have a LTD Eclipse coming for a sharpened video. And again, all these, not all, but 90%, I'm just giving guesses, will be reviewed. I'll review the guitars like I normally do, and then we'll do a Sharp My Axe video as well. And try to do them back to back so that you don't have to drive yourself crazy. I'll do the video, and then maybe 2 days later the Sharp comes out or whatever. And then the Squire that I had plecked is going to be one of the Sharp My Axe. That'll be the next one, the very first one you'll see in the series, and it's coming out very soon. And what else? We have a Reverend coming. I may have already said that. Reverend. A Revolta guitar. Yes. So so basically every guitar that the patrons recommended, and then all the guitars after that you guys recommended, you guys wanted to see. This is what you told me. You wanted to see more Epiphones. You wanted to see more LTDs. You want to see more Reverends. You wanted to see more Sire guitars. I basically did those guitars. I basically got those guitars. I purchased them. I bought the stuff. And then how it's going to work is I will put them up for sale. Of course, if you know me and my vibe and my channel, this isn't going to be like a gouge thing. I'm probably going to just kind of recoup as much as logically I can. No labor cost to recoup, nothing like that. But, just take what I paid for it, maybe the parts, and then come up with some fair price. And if somebody's willing to pay that, great. And if not, we'll drop the price. Kind of goes like that. And then as I sell those guitars, that's the best news of this. All what I'm trying to say, when I say I sponsored that, I could loan myself the money, make these videos with the guitars, but this money will churn. In other words, as I sell a guitar, I will take that money and we'll buy some more guitars, and we'll be a self-funded channel that way. And I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are excited about it too. Like I said, especially since this isn't something I'm going to do. It's something I just did. So I waited to tell you guys until I did it. There you go. And I will be reaching out to companies, like somebody mentioned GraphTech, yes, and 920 Customs and stuff like that, talking to companies like that for being in some of the videos when it's, and so that will help cut the cost. But I know because somebody's going to ask me because, yes, did I end up buying some P-rails? I did, and triple shots. I bought all that stuff. I bought all kinds of stuff that I think is cool. I literally just, like I said, I bought the guitar, then I literally shopped for all the things I wanted to mod the guitar, bought all that stuff. I've kind of beat this to dead horse, but love it, excited about it. Like I said, if you guys don't know, I will make sure that when I rebroadcast, when I timestamp this, I'll put a link to my Reverb store so that you guys can at least have that. I get, when I make the videos, then I put the guitars up for sale and stuff like that. And if you're interested in them, buy them. If you're not, they'll sit and we'll figure them out. Like I said, the faster we flip them, the faster I'll put that money into the next video and we'll go. And will that mean that's the end of any kind of you guys sending me a guitar and me modding your guitar? No, like I said, but this is going to help me. That also helped me with the situation I was having, which is trying to finish up a viewer's guitar, and I just couldn't find any sponsorship, so I just paid for the parts and did it myself. And just again, that one, just keep going. All right. Yeah. So Rob Bradley says, hey, so I'm going to try to hit some stuff you guys are talking about that pertains to this. Says, I have a Sire L7. Now I'm really interested to see what you do with it. I think when you guys see how I don't want to get too much into it. The more I hype this up, the less it'll be exciting later. But yeah, I'm really excited too. And like I said, it was kind of fun. And so, as we go down this journey, hopefully together, we'll, as I, do these guitars, I'll still take in your suggestions for the next guitars too. That'll keep it fun. I think mostly though, if I got anything from this, man, I think I've never seen, no guitar has been requested to be reviewed more than a Reverend on this channel. So I'm really glad. In fact, I told you I always get scared when I tell you guys stuff, because I'm like, and if it doesn't happen, it's problematic when it's too ahead of its time. But I already secured it. I already bought them. I already got shipping tracking on them. So bearing. I actually did something I think is really cool. You guys really pounded me in a positive, reassuring way. That's my nice way of saying, thanks. Can you guys be quiet now about it? Reverend guitars. So I thought, okay, I'll review a Reverend. And when I have a guitar like that gets requested that much for that long, I always a little fearful of like, well, what happens? If I end up getting it and not liking it and like, it's going to suck for me and for you guys. And I go, what can I do to make this exciting? So here's what I did. And I'm really impressed with this. I bought 2 Reverends. I bought a new Reverend, and I bought an old Made in USA one. Not so much to compare, but I will promise I will compare. I will not compare, but you know what I mean? I'll talk about it. What's different about them and what's interesting and what's missing now and what's new now and what's exciting. So there you go. Let's see. All right. Okay. Thank you guys. Okay, hold on. I'm looking for any comments about what we're talking about before I go on to the next subject. And you guys are so much into talking to each other. All right, cool. All right, let me grab some questions then. And try not to sneeze. I'm in that I might sneeze mode. Okay, so Random, I think that's it. Random Serini? Sorry, Random. Says, hey, Phil, what FX modeling unit, in your opinion, has the best Mesa rectifier style sound? Thanks. I might be the worst person to ask about this. I have always felt almost all of the Mesa Boogie rectifier pedals and effects units are always horrible to me. They never seem... and I don't know what it is. The rectifier, it's again, everybody's going to have an opinion about this, and that's great. But let me give you this because this is a hardcore opinion about the rectifier. The rectifier is either amazing or it's shit. I don't know what it is about the rectifier. I don't know why. I've had this huge love for the Mesa Boogie rectifiers, and I have found that to be true all the time, right? It's when you plug into them, sometimes they just sound like squishy crap, and sometimes they just sound amazing, and it's all about how loud they are when they're loud, the right mix, the right sound. But when a Mesa rectifier is great, it is godly. Okay, and when it is not, it is harsh. And don't get me wrong, a lot of amps like that. Plexis are like that. Sometimes they're like broken glass, and sometimes they're just like, you know, they have this beautiful singing tone. But the Mesa rectifier is the thing that's problematic with me. Here's why I say that to you. I say that to you because when playing a Mesa rectifier, when I love it, you know, hitting the sweet spot with it, trying to get the pedals and the simulated ones to sound like that, it's almost impossible. I've never heard it. I've never heard it line up. It never seems to work. It always seems like they go for the cliche rectifier sound. And I think it's because in my judgment of this is there's a lot of people who make rectifier clones like pedals and simulated, I don't know what you call it, simulated digital, you know, effects units and stuff. They don't love Mesas. You gotta love. I think when companies try to simulate a Marshall or an amplifier that is iconic, like, you know, a train wreck or a Dumble or something like that, when they try to simulate that stuff, I think they're so passionate they go after it. I think there's a lot of half-assedness when it comes to modeling the Mesa Boogie stuff. I think it's like, that sounds like a bad Creed album. Go. You know what I mean? Like, it seems like they don't put in a lot of effort into the tone, and that's been my experience. And the reason is because I feel like you know, a Plexi is not a hard amp, a Plexi is a hard amp to get right when you're trying to get that pedal or that, you know, a multi-processor unit sound right, but you get close. You get good. I've seen a lot of YouTubers do, you know, videos like, hey, can you tell the difference between my Plexi and this? And, you know, and to be honest with you, once you're on YouTube and it's digitized, you can't. It's hard. They can get you in the range. And I think for some reason, Mesa Boogie has just been this product that's just hard to do it. And in fact, remember when Mesa Boogie made pedals? I thought for sure, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Finally, someone who loves Mesa Boogie will make a Mesa Boogie pedal that sounds like Mesa Boogie. And then they didn't make the rectifier pedals. They made everything else. They made the throttle box and all this stuff. And I was like, what is this? So that's just my thoughts. And another thing is what makes it even worse. Okay. And again, this is just my ear and my opinion, okay? What makes it worse, I got sidetracked. I got to stop reading comments while I'm talking. I apologize, everyone. I'll slow down and just pay attention to what I'm saying. What makes it worse is the 5150s, the PVs. Here's why I say that. When the Mesa Boogie rectifier came out, you know, and then you had the PV 5150 amps, they are, to me, very different, but very same. Sure, they're both high gain. Sure, they have lots of distortion, but to me, they are much different animals and they articulate very differently. The PV 5150, in my opinion, has this tight, you know, kind of, I'm going to do this as dumb, is like jin, 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 jin sound. And the Mesa Boogie's got more of a raw kind of jug, you know, kind of lower tone, more of a squish on it. It's not as tight. Sounds really good for big chords. And, you know, and just, again, my experience. And I swear, half the time somebody's telling me this is a modeled Mesa Boogie or this is a Mesa Boogie pedal, it's the PV. I'm like, yeah, it sounds like the 5150 pedal. It's a great sound, and you know what? I think you can get away with that, but it's not the same. So to answer your question, I haven't found one. Some of you in the comments may suggest some. That's my experience. Now that Gibson has Mesa Boogie, maybe that's something that can be done. Maybe that's maybe Mesa Boogie. Usually when you give companies, when a big company buys a smaller company, aside from all the possible negative things that can happen, some of the possible positive things that can happen is more time and money can be dedicated to developing new products that will serve the customers better, because obviously the goal is to improve the bottom line, to make more money, and you make more money by selling products. So that's not a hard thing to do. So maybe it would be really cool to see, like in my opinion, I like the 5150 MXR pedal. I think that's a great pedal. Does it sound exactly like my 5150? I don't think so, but it's close, man. I can get away with murder with that pedal. I love it. And so it'd be nice to see a Mesa Boogie version of a pedal that could do that. Could get me close to the Mesa Boogie dual rack or triple rack or rack. just said wreck. All right. Yeah, you guys, I knew you guys were going to make fun of my sound effects. You know what? We're musicians. We talk in scatting. That's it. But there you go. There's my very long answer to a very short question. I apologize. All right. Here's what we got. Next one is Ice Pick 19. Says, is there something similar to the Archon 25 that is less expensive? Absolutely. There's the Tremonti amp, the 15, the Tremonti MT15, Mark Tremonti 15. Absolutely. I did a video doing a shootout with those two. I think I said it I know I said it in the video. In that video, I said, of the two amps, I preferred the Archon's clean a little better, like a little. Okay. And so when I say a little, I mean, I don't even know how much that was placebo. You know, the other one's more expensive. Maybe it just sounds better. But I felt like it was better. And I like the distortion a little better. A little better than the MT15. And so I kept my Archon and I sold my MT15. But I also very clearly and hopefully explained it in that video. And if I didn't, I'll explain it now. My Archon 50 that I currently have that I love, I paid $700-ish for. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was in the $700. When I did the review of it, I explained the whole thing. I bought it used. I got it for $700. I wasn't going to sell it because I'll never be able to buy another one for $700. I believe, my understanding is that Archons now are going to be made in China now. They're no longer made in the USA. They were assembled in the USA from mostly import parts, but I think they're going overseas is my understanding of them, if they're not being canceled altogether, but I think they're just going overseas. So not that that's a big deal, but now I have, you know, one of the older Archons and it's cool. But if you don't have the scratch or don't want to spend the crazy money for the Archon 25, yeah, get the MT15. The only thing I can tell you that makes the Archon, in my opinion, better than the MT15, like I said, I prefer those distortions cleans a little bit more than the MT15. Again, little teeny bit. If that, the only thing that makes it better is the Archon can get quieter. I can turn the distortion on the Archon down to no, almost whisper and get great tones. The MT15's got that just off and then it's kicking you in the face a little bit, but it has an effects loop. Put a one of those JHS volume pedals, or just, you know, you can buy one of the knockoff ones, you know, but for $50, buy the JHS one. It's better. So, you know what I mean? Or make one, make one yourself for $5 or buy the JHS pedal. I use the JHS one. Put that in the effects loop and that turns that into the master volume of the amp and you'll get great tones out of the MT15. So, like I said, if it didn't, for that one circumstance with the Archon, I think I would have just owned the MT15. Okay. Okay, I'm not old. I am vintage. I know. We know who that is. It says, for anyone seriously considering ordering a new 2021 PRS Studio, I've never owned a PRS Core, so is it worth the extra money for a 10 top? So he's asking everyone, so everybody, you could just please put in your 2 cents too as well, because it's nice to get a community average, you know what I mean, what everybody thinks. I personally, no. I can't do it. I've said this before. I own one PRS with a 10 top. I did not pay for that 10 top. That guitar, and again, I bought that Custom 24 when I was a dealer. A customer wanted to know if they had a Rize Verde and a Custom 24. Customer. And then I called PRS and they got back and they said, we don't have any in stock. We have a 10 top. I told the customer didn't want to pay. It was like $300 or $500. I can't remember. It was nuts. Now it's more nuts, like $600 now, but it was like $300 to $500 to add to the price of the guitar for the 10 top. I told the customer and they said no. I told PRS, I said, yeah, they said no. And PRS said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll actually sell it to you for a non-10 top price. I tell the customer and they said, well, I think I'll hold off. And then I bought it. That's how I ended up with my Rize Verde. I said, well, I'm buying it. So, and they sent me a picture of it. It was gorgeous. So it's the one I currently own now. So the 10 top thing is hard for me to pay for. It just is. The idea that I'm paying somebody to go out there and visually inspect something and then get me a good top. What I will tell you, I'm not old, I'm vintage, is if you're wondering, it doesn't even guarantee you a top. That's the thing that frustrates me without an R. That's the thing that frustrates me. If you're for OCD people that needs me here to say it that way, frustrates. By the way, I figured this out. Nobody I know says frustrates. They say fuss without an R. Anyways, what frustrates me is that buying a 10 top does not guarantee you a beautiful top. It's just a fact. In fact, my 10 top, a lot of people are like, I can't believe that's a 10 top because they don't think it looks like great. So I wouldn't personally pay for the tin top unless, money's just not your, hey, I don't care. You got money, do it. Me, I ordered my Hollow Body 2 last year, I bought it, non-tin top. I don't need a tin top. Just depends. And then I feel okay. See, because here's why. And let me give you my logic. Let me give you logic too. Not just a recommendation, but their logic behind it. The reason why I don't pay for a tin top or don't want a tin top is I know my personality. If I paid $600 for a guitar to have a beautiful top and it didn't, I would just go nuts. I would just think about the $600 and how it could be tires for the car, or, I could fix, the thing in the backyard, or would be like, I was just thinking about all the things I could do with that money. You know what I mean? College tuition fund, adding to that, just all the things I could do with that money. However, if I got a non-tin top and it looked gorgeous, I'd be like, score! I just got ahead $600. But if I got a non-tin top and it wasn't great, I'd be like, well, at least I didn't pay for it. That's why. And I, as a PRS dealer, because again, I'm not just a guitar buyer and stuff and a repair guy. I was a dealer for PRS for 10 years of the 12 years, 13 years the store was open, 10 years. I would say on average, as much as it pains me to say this publicly, I'd say half the PRSs that were tin tops were good. And I'm being nice because I want to be nice today. So half is me being nice. Let's just put it this way. I saw more faces like this than any other face when I go, here's your tin top guitar, and open the case that you ordered, that you have to pay for because you're stuck with it, because you custom ordered it. And they go, oh yeah, that top's nice. Maybe it's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. Okay. All right. But there you go. Yeah. Sean Brooks says, hey, PRS cores go for used for $2,500, whether they're tin top or not. No, you don't get no money for tin top, man. You get no money for tin top. You'll never get that money back. By the way, the Hollow Body 2 that I bought, if you buy a Hollow Body, because it's got dual maple caps, the tin top's like $1,200 because you got to buy both sides. I love PRS, as you guys know, but I also have no problem calling them on their shenanigans. That's shenanigans. That's nuts. Their whole tin top thing is kind of a weird thing. But he's explained the story, and his explanation of it makes sense why they do it. It's just not my thing. So James says tin top is a con. See, here's why I can't call it that. Because all they're doing, and this is the important part, tin top, this is not what they're saying. I'm telling you this. This is my opinion. So it's important because, I don't want to say that sometimes I do know secret stuff. This is not the case. I don't know any secret information. I'm giving you my opinion. A tin top does not guarantee you a beautiful top. That's my personal opinion, and I really believe that. And here's why it doesn't. That's why I don't think it's a con. It guarantees you the best top of what they have when they pick the top. I've said I like this analogy. I've used it many times. If you went into the grocery store and you told the produce manager, pick me out 3 beautiful apples, and he brought them to you, and you go, well, this has a soft dent in it, and this one's a little browning on the side. But if you looked at the bushel and it was all crap, it was the best of what they had. So that's why my theory is sometimes when you buy a non-tin top, it's gorgeous, because maybe if they get a bunch of tops and they're all gorgeous, well, then everybody gets a tin top. It's like the Oprah of it's like Paul Reed Smith's out there like Oprah, like you get a tin top and you get a tin top and you get a tin top. And then the next batch of wood's not so great. And so maybe 2 or 3 of the tin tops are good. And then the rest of it is like kind of average, but they're better than the non-tin tops. That's just, there you go. So there you go. That's a long story to tell you that that's the information. Now do with it what you will. Buy the tin top or not. But I'm old on vintage. If you buy a studio, let me know what you did because I'm curious. Okay, so hold on a second. I opened up a window and okay, cool, great. So on a side note, so you guys know I did a contest where we gave away 2 air step pedals. I picked the winners today from it's a King Sumo it's a randomizer website where you guys do it and then I push a button and it tells me who won. And the winner of the light pedal has responded. And so that's Branko. Branko won the light pedal in Ohio. So He's getting the light pedal. I have not heard back from the winner of the Airstep non-light version, the more premium pedal. And if I don't hear anything within 24 to 40 hours, I'll randomize pick another one, and then I'll put them on the comments of that video. So it's cool. I thought about doing it live, but my experience with these giveaways is it's really hard to get people to respond when they win because, and I please don't do this, guys. A lot of times when I send you guys, hey, you won, I got to watch how I verb it in the comment section or the subject line and stuff, because your spam filters see like win, sweepstakes, congratulations, and they filter that, and then my email goes in spam, and you never know you won. And so what I'm saying, don't turn off your spam filters; those are important. But so I do my best, but I think sometimes that's what happens; it goes in spam filters. So there you go. All right, how are we doing on? Okay, Mr. Fancy Hands. Hey, Mr. Fancy Hands. It says, I noticed a pair of PreSonus Eris in your last video. Do you rate these speakers highly? Also, cheapest gigging quality looper. Love your channel, man. Oh, okay, great. Thank you for the compliment. Yeah, the PreSonus speakers I had the KRKs, and I thought they were too low indie. And I don't know why. I could have been, obviously I could have been doing something wrong. I obviously own up for that. But it just wasn't, and it's really important to me. Studio monitors are a different world for me. I'm mixing, talk about a weird world. My goal when I'm mixing a video is to do two things. One, to give you guys the best sound of what I thought it sounded like in the room, whether that was good or bad. And I don't tell you, I let you guys decide that. So sometimes people are like, that sounded bad. I'm like, I didn't say it didn't. I just reviewed the product and put out the way I thought it sounded in the room. So I try to give you guys the closest to where I think it sounds like the product sounds like. And I know some of that's me, the way I play and all that stuff, but you get the idea. And so that's one. And the second thing I got to do is I'm trying to mix the mix so that when you hear it on a cell phone, because that's the hardest thing about YouTube now. I got to mix something so that when half you guys are listening on a cell phone, half you guys are listening on computers. It's about the range, right? There's tablets mixed in there too, but and if you got a cell phone, you're like, Phil, it's really tinny, and then if I make it not tinny, then you guys go, man, it's really bassy because you're on your computer. So I was looking for a monitor that would do that. I did the PreSonus, but let me tell you why I did the PreSonus monitors. It was only based on a logic that I've used in the past that served me well, which is buying like brands. A lot of times when brands develop product, they use their own product to develop it. So in this case, I have a PreSonus. I don't know what it's called. No. I just want to see what it says. AR8 USB. It's PreSonus mixer. This is for podcasting, or you can use it for podcasting. So what you're listening to right now is PreSonus. I needed it for some podcasts I did where I had multiple mics and stuff. So I got this PreSonus mixer, a studio mixer. I like it. It's also portable, like my H6 from Zoom was, which is why I like that, because you can use the SD card. And so when I was looking for some monitors, I thought, well, why don't I just buy some PreSonus? Because again, obviously the guys at PreSonus probably used these monitors or monitors like this when they were building the mixer and vice versa. So that's why I use it. So that's my very long way to say that's how much thought I put into it. I thought I would mix. I like them. I like them fine. Again, it's kind of a necessity thing. It's not really a joy for me. It's not like I'm like, I love the way they sound. It's like, yeah, they do the job that I need them to do. BB Ninja says that's exactly why you need two pairs of studio monitors. Actually, so you guys know, I shouldn't tell you guys this. Not like I think it's that cool of a secret. I actually built a studio monitor out of an old phone. So believe it or not, when I mix my mixes, I listen through the PreSonus speakers. Then I mix again using my computer, and then I mix again out into a phone that I'm listening to. That's not a phone anymore. It's just a speaker out of a phone. So yeah, I told Dave Freeman that once, and I thought he looked at me. We were drinking a little bit too in the bar, but anyways, Dave Freeman he was asking me about that. He's like, hey, you get a lot of complaints, about where you mix, your sounds and your recordings, because he was talking about Freeman amps gets grief too. And I said, yeah, but I figure most people are listening on their phone, so I always make sure I mix through my phone speaker. And he was like, how do you do that? And I said, I took an old phone and just built it in, filled it up with epoxy and built a speaker, and so I just listened to like a speaker that's my phone. So yeah, that's how I mix. and it serves me well. And every once in a while, every single time I don't do it because I'll get lazy and I'll go, I don't run it through the phone speaker. I'll just do it's yep, you guys will go, oh, it's this or that. And I go, yeah, I should have mixed with using the phone speaker. The magic trick of a YouTube review is making sure you listen to your review through a phone speaker. All right. That was dumb. Sometimes I'm like, here's my secret information. And I go, it's probably not that cool. So there was another question. The other question from Mr. Fancy Hands was the cheapest gigging quality looper. I feel like most of the loopers are gig quality loopers. What I will tell you about a gigging looper is stay away from the ones that, if you really, for gigging, okay, you want the looper to be dumbed down as much as possible, unless you're literally just the only person doing it. It's just you. You're like a one-man band with your looper, and you need this multi-track looper and stuff. The thing I will tell you is that most players, the whole double stop, when you use a looper like a Ditto and stuff, you got to start, stop, and then double stop. You don't want that. You want some kind of 2-foot button switch dedicated so that you don't have to think about it. The more you have to look down and think, the more you're losing track of what's going on in the live performance. So I would make sure you get a quality looper like that. I use the RC1 by Boss and the external push button foot switch, and I think it works fantastic. But any of those work fine. Loopers, for the most part, are all about practice, man. I love it. I've used every kind of looper. I've never had a problem with like any of them. And everybody goes, "Oh, this one's broken or this one sucks." And I go, it's just a weird thing. It's an unintuitive thing for a lot of players. What else are we looking for? Okay, I see the question. I'm like, did I miss a question? Here it is. This came from Josh. Josh says, Fender just increased their prices on most of their models. What are your thoughts? That is exactly what I was talking about today. I was on a conference call today, and it was about prices, not with Fender, of course, but with some companies talking about prices increases and stuff. And yeah, we talked about this. I just said it a couple weeks ago when I said I went to the NAMM, virtual NAMM, and I said, this is the end of cheap guitars. Look, don't get me wrong. Yeah, Glary, Harley Benton, sure, of course. Will there be guitars for $100? Yeah. But let me tell you, the days of brand names having, cheap guitars, those days they're not over. They're just gone for a while. There's no incentive for them. Right now, as we speak, Squires are barely filling in from months and months and months of backorder dealers. And I say barely. They're not even getting their full orders. Fender can't add dealers because they can't support the ones they have currently. Everybody's buying guitars. And until this supply-demand thing aligns, you know what I mean, which we all know is the problem right now, then inflation is already a thing that was already happening. Think about this. Inflation was happening before COVID. You know what I mean? It was already happening. And in our industry, the thing that's kept prices low is the low demand. There's a reason why I saw Andy Mooney, the president of Fender, when he was saying, well, a few years ago was it the Washington Post? I think it was the Washington Post, when they did the death of the electric guitar. He was saying, we had the best year last year ever, and they could suck it. I'm paraphrasing. And I said, yeah, but when that article came out, the industry was not hurting, but it wasn't booming. So I'm not saying the article was right. Actually, I'm in that article saying the article wasn't right at that time. But this boom right now of the pandemic thing has created a guitar boom. That's for sure. So is that going to add to the cost of the inflation? Absolutely. So so I'm not shocked. Everything's going to be slowly going up. Marshall did it too. So you guys see, Marshall amps just did it too. They ran up their prices about $100 per amp and $100 per cabinet. A lot of people are raising the price, and that's going to happen. So what do I think about it? I want to meet that person. I can't wait to pay more. I get the same, but I get to pay more. Yeah, so it sucks. I'll tell you, this is a true story. It just happened on January 31st. I bought a 1987 Plexi from Sam Ash in Glendale. I bought it because I was in the store. I played it. I loved it, and I knew that tomorrow, January 1st. Did I say January 31st? I meant December 31st. I apologize. December 31st. January 1st, they were raising the prices $100. So I already knew it was going up. So I might as well get it. So, Big Bass, I want to hit on this subject because this is something usually guys have some feedback on. Big Bass Brian, or Big Bass Brian, depends on, this is a gear channel, so we'll say bass. Big Bass Brian says in 5 years, these prices will deflate and the used market will be a buyer's market. I don't think it'll be 5 years. I really think it's going to be, when I said there'll be an influx of used guitars, my theory, like a lot of people, is it's not so much a date or a time or a year. It'll be a slow boil back the other way as the COVID thing recedes, and people get out of their houses more. Look, guitar is a perfect tool for staying in your house. It just is. You know what I mean? Playing your instrument at home is just a thing. And pent-up guitar players who like to buy a ton of guitars are just literally going crazy right now. That's part of it too. So, but here's the thing. I agree. There'll be used guitars and the prices will come down and things will come back down. The problem is, and this is where I don't want to turn the guitar into a stock market. It's a nightmare to think about this stuff and give yourself a headache. Have fun. Buy what you want when you can afford it and you want it. That's as easy as it gets. That being said, some stuff will come down and some stuff won't. And again, I can only give my theories, but I'm always a little, concerned because, I can do a video like this and 50,000 people can see it. And now I'm kind of pushing an idea out that I don't want out there per se, because I don't want to give you guys the wrong false impressions of something that I know something. I don't know anything about what I'm about to say, but I just want to tell you, I think what we're going to see is exactly that. You'll see a used market come back a little bit. Prices will kind of level out or come down on the used market. The new stuff is just, there'll be deals when the market makes it easier. There'll be deals, but the prices don't come down. There'll just be deals on the prices that are, but that being said, some stuff I don't think is going to come down. And here's why. I think it's because a lot of companies are learning new ways to do stuff. So if you're speculating what I mean by that, I mean American-made guitars, U.S.-made guitars. They're not going to come down very much in the used market because I think everybody's going to start holding on to them. So there you go. And I think it's because of that inflation. I think people are seeing prices that are crazy. All right, JJ, here's a great segue. It says, thoughts on the new BC Rich. I know they're made in the world manufacturer in Korea. I have not physically put my hands on any of them. They're one of those brands that kind of feel like vaporware to me. I see pictures of them. I don't see anybody with them. I watched a couple YouTube channels that I feel horrible that I can't name because I can't remember the names, but because, they were small channels and I really enjoyed their videos. And it makes it easy. They're probably the only ones still to have anything up on the new BC Riches. And they liked them and I seem excited about that, but literally have not put my hands on any of them. And literally, JJ, you're only the second or third person to ask me about them. So it's not something that's been pressing for me to find out any information about. So I think I'm more curious than you guys are about them. Okay. JJ says, is PV returning to the USA soon? I haven't heard anything about that. I know they were doing those H2s or whatever. Like I said, I don't even give PV a thought anymore. I hate to say it. I have my PV Wolfgang right there, that I love. And, I highly recommend buying old PV USA guitars and amps, especially on short money when you can get them really cheap. You can still get a lot of USA-made amps and guitars from PV for a lot better price than you get other stuff that's not as good or just as good. And but as a company, I don't think they've actually, I feel like, I could be totally wrong, I feel like they haven't put out a product in 5 years. Maybe the Misha amp, that's it. That's it. Other than that, I haven't seen anything for years from them. So Ted says, old amps are good still. Yeah, of course. That's what I said. They're great. All right. Let me go back. And we have Gunky Zip says, hey, I have an Ibanez RG560, 30 years with my pal. Oh, that's awesome. That's like legit. The low bass E intonation is still sharp at a maximum setting. Do I fiddle with the springs next? No. Your intonation issue is definitely in that saddle. The thing about the saddle is it's very frustrating. If it wasn't, I wouldn't have a job. Okay? Intonation in saddles. You know how many times guitar techs, again, just because of the doing it so many times, all the time, every day. How many times people bring in and I've tried to intonation this guitar and I can't. And no, you go through it and you're like, oh no, you just move it. So in your case, your low E, it's first of all, I can already tell you this. Okay, anytime I hear anyone say maximum, like it's as far as back as it will go and it's still not intonated. Well, most of the time it should never be as far back as it should go. So that's the first sign that it's probably wrong. Or it's as full forward as it can go and it can't go anymore and it's still wrong. Most manufacturers, when they build products, are not going to be that way. So two things to understand. First of all, in your bridge, a lot of them, they have 2 screws that go through that saddle, and sometimes you have to take one out and then slide the saddle into one of the different holes. What I'm saying won't make sense to 90% of you, but Gunky Zip, if you're looking at your guitar, you might see what I'm talking about. In other words, there's more in play than what you think. You know what I mean? There's some, so you need to watch a video on that, and then kind of readdress that. But I promise you, what you're looking for is where it is. It's just the saddle needs to be adjusted. And Floyd and Floyd type guitars are some of the worst guitars to intonate. They're a pain. That's why they make that tool. I have that tool that you connect it and then I can micro adjust it, because a lot of times when you're moving that thing, man, you're just missing it every time. You're too far a little bit and you're using the logic. And I've had this problem before, and I said this in my intonation video. A lot of times somebody will go, okay, it's sharp, right? And then you move it forward and you're like, it's even more sharp. You know what I mean? You're like, and then it's flat. And then I tell everybody, recenter. So in your case, Gunky, what I would do is, it's your low E string. Measure out 25.5 inches from the nut, the inside of the nut, okay, to the saddle. Center up where the string crosses the top of the saddle. 25.5 inches. Put it right there exactly. And then start the intonation process again. Start from that measurement. So, and there you go. I think that'll work. And if not, let me know. All right, Sarang says, happy Friday, Phil. Thank you. Happy not Friday. Okay, of course, it's not Friday. It's Thursday. Happy not Friday, Thursday. Phil, have you had any experience with Frist Act guitars, especially the custom shop ones? They really had a moment in the 2000s. They did. Didn't they give away one of those too with like a John Mayer Volkswagen or something? And then didn't Slash play one on a Volkswagen commercial? Am I remembering that right? I did. I played like 2 of those high-end Frist Act guitars. They were cool. They were just weird. It was weird. Did anyone else not find that weird? I remember thinking this is the weirdest thing ever when they came up with that idea. There was some kind of like lutherie school, and then they were building them at some shop, and I don't even remember the details. I just remember the whole thing was weird. Obviously, here's why. It was like literally McDonald's going, "Hey, we're going to start making, fine dining." And the weirdest, also what was really strange was this idea that if you just made a nicer guitar with your brand, that would make sense to people. Like they would, hey, if you make a good guitar, they come. They're like, no, you have a horrible brand associated to it. Horrible meaning it's associated with beginner, not even beginner guitars. Frist Act's not even a beginner guitars. It's beginner like kazoos and recorders and drums and keyboards. Like it's the grocery store brand, right? So it's weird. It was a weird thing. So all that being said, that's just my assessment of that. The guitars were great. I played 2 of them and I thought they were fantastic. There you go. And if you could buy them for nothing, that would be fantastic because you'd have a great guitar for a low price. So on that note, hopefully you didn't buy one very expensive. And if you did, tell me I'm wrong and you love it, which I think you will. And then we'll move on. We can still be friends after that. Brad Guitar Miller said, pre-ordered a Xaviere SE since it was on back order. Figured I had time to recover from custom shop purchase, except SW got one in. Sweetwater got one in, and I have no willpower. The Xaviere SE is awesome. I'm really sad to see that one go. It's really, really cool. That was that Xaviere's SE is my favorite SE I've played so far to date, and I really like the 2408. And I really like the semi-hollow body too. I really did. But the Xaviere's, like, it was cool. That chunky neck's a little strange because it's chunky, but it was such a good guitar. But yeah, and beautiful. Even my wife's like, can we keep that one? I'm like, no. Litvey says, arch top bridge on a thin line jazz guitar. Okay. Sliding around when I do big bluesy bends. Any recommendations to stabilize? Sure. If you have an arch top guitar with a bridge that sits on it, usually, and you're going to use some kind of tremolo, that's what I'm getting from this, right? Oh, you're just doing bends. Okay. So bends. Yeah, you want to pen it. It's a very easy process to do, to pen a bridge. You can be lazy and cheap and double stick it down with double sticky tape. So you want to use really thin double stick tape. That works. It'll get you 75% of the way. It works great. Otherwise, I would pen it. Penning it is super easy. All you do to pen a bridge is I put a strip of painter's tape down on the guitar where the bridge is. Put the bridge down. Set the intonations to the bridge in the right spot. I trace out the tape. Okay. Pull a bridge off real quick, drill the 2 holes for the pins, install the pins, peel the tape off and stick it to the bottom of the bridge and drill those holes. And it takes me about 5-10 minutes to pen a bridge. And I just said that out loud, and I'm pretty sure I charged like $50 to do that with the setup and everything. So it's fair. Okay. I think I was going to say, I made that sound really easy. It is easy. Now that you know that trick. Okay. Old Man Fran says, Thursday surprise, opinion on Railhammer pickups. I don't have an opinion on Railhammer pickups. I think we talked about this before. Somebody asked me about them, and this is one of those things. I think I played some, but I just don't have, nothing comes to memory about them. Mitchell says, thoughts on the small 10-watt Blackstar ID core? I want something small to use without headphones next to the computer. It will work fantastic. For the price, I personally, that's why when I did the review, I did the 20-watt because I wanted something in the center to do the video on. Really, to me, the Blackstar ID core stuff is the affordable version of the Yamahas and the Spark, right? So yeah, for $129, and assuming you don't get a 10% coupon somewhere, some kind of discount, for that price point, I think you'd be totally happy. The great thing about them is the 10 watt is going to do everything you need and perfectly put on a desktop. Fantastic. You're good to go. I think you'd be totally happy. Stat Magic did a super chat for no reason. Wow, $25. Thank you, Stat Magic. I appreciate that. That's a hefty super chat. I feel like I should answer your question that you don't have. Well, let me answer someone else's question. Let me find someone. It's like we were doing that for a while and I stopped, which is when you did super chats with no question, I would just find a non super chat question, make sure to get more of those through. Okay, Leonardo. Hey, Leonardo, how's it going, buddy? He says, I have an Ibanez Mikro Paul Gilbert. If you would sharpen this axe, what would you change? Is it easy to craft a new nut for a beginner? I don't think I could find one with this measure to order. Yeah, you could. You shape a new nut out of it. I don't think I would worry about that on that guitar. So on the Paul, if I had a Paul Gilbert Micro, what would I do to it? I know it's a sharp my axe question, but what would I mod on it? What would I do? Here's what I would mod. I would, in this order, this is the order in which I would modify things. So if you do all these things, great. If you don't do them, just in the order of importance is how I do it. First thing I would do is change the strings to thicker gauge strings. I did a video on how to set up a short scale guitar video. It did pretty well. And in that video, I explained my complaint. And I've told every manufacturer this since then. And every manufacturer I talk to, I say this. I have no idea why they put small strings on a small guitar. It makes no sense whatsoever. Now, I know Paul Gilbert shows you how he bends them like, woo, and does this stuff. But realistically, this is usually the logic. Follow the logic, right? Most guitar players, again, we're talking about the average guitar player. Everybody's there's outliers all out there, difference. But average guitar player will play like 9s on a Strat, 10s on a Les Paul. If the scale of the guitar is a little shorter, the strings get a little bigger. Same thing with down tuning, right? Down tune the guitar, get bigger strings. Okay, that usually works. Now, if you're talking about extended scale guitars, usually you're talking about down tune as well. So that being said, if you were going to put 10s on a normal 25.5-inch scale Ibanez, you wouldn't put 10s on the mini Ibanez, right? That doesn't make sense. You would put bigger ones. So if you play 9s on a full-size Ibanez, I would put 10s on the mini. You play 10s on the full-size Ibanez, I'd put 11s on the mini. I actually like 11s on the minis. The first instinct is when, especially for young players, they're like, oh, those big strings are hard to play. No, they're going to feel like normal. They're going to feel normal, and they're going to intonate better and tune better. Because again, the sloppier the string gets, the more problematic everything gets. Right? So first thing I would do is change the strings to a better gauge. Go 10s or 11s or some kind of hybrids on those. And whatever I said, if you want to watch that video I put out, whatever I suggest in that video too is probably what I'm saying now, but if not, it's better information because it was in real time what I was doing. Then on that guitar, I would probably change out the pickups. Just because. Why not? If you want to upgrade stuff, right? I would put some cool DiMarzios in there. That thing would play great. Make sure the frets are polished and then make sure the nut is cut correctly. And I really should do that out of order. The nut cut correctly is probably more important than the pickups, obviously. But so strings, make sure the nut's cut correctly. You could put a new nut on it. Obviously won't hurt. I'll only improve it. But a guitar like that, it's okay to be a little basic, okay? That guitar is got a purpose. You're probably using it for travel or for fun, or unless you're doing the Paul Gilbert 3 E-string thing or something, I would just do that. But like I said, super easy. So polish the nut, make sure the slots are cut correctly is what I mean, and new strings. Then I would put some cool pickups in it. I put locking keys on a mini guitar, and I won't say I regret it, but you'll find that once you restring a mini guitar, it's pretty much done. You kind of restring it, and you'll be lucky to change those strings once a year because, you play them, they're fun. It's a fun guitar. It's a fun price point. It's fun to have, but it's not something you'll pick up every time and play, for sure. All right. And then just on a side note, a couple of you guys are agreeing that 11s on a mini guitar is the way to go. Yeah. James says, this question is, hey, Phil, do solder joints go bad? That's the question. I have a 76 SG where the humbucker keeps shorting out, but it will come back temporarily if I wiggle the lead. Generally speaking, no, solder joints don't go bad. Usually if you see soldering go bad or trails like in computer boards, here's the thing with solder. If any kind of that stuff, when it heats, it expands, even if it's lightly. Okay, it expands, and then when it cools, it shrinks and expands and shrinks. That's what happens to the trails on solder boards or on PC boards and stuff. The trails kind of expand and shrink, and then they get micro cracks, and eventually the cracks break, and then they're not touching, and you know that can help it happen. Which is why I'm not a big fan of putting PC boards in guitars, because we already know there's problems with that. Now, however, that being said, the guitars don't have any real heat coming through them, so that's not really a big deal. So the reason I say that is that's my little disclaimer to tell you that that's the kind of thing that could happen, but not likely. It's not likely that a solder joint goes bad. Usually if a solder joint goes bad, it's because it was bad to begin with. Cold solder joint, maybe they did something wrong. They connected it incorrectly. But if you're wiggling it and you're getting it, it's probably, if anything, the wire itself is broken or frayed or damaged. So at that point, again, I'm not looking at this stuff right now. So a lot of times you guys, when I tell you the answer, you guys are critiquing me on it. I'm not looking at it. I got to do what I think might be what you're asking me. I would say that if you gave the guitar to me, what I would be looking for is if I wiggled a wire and it started shorting out a little bit, I would look at the wire, make sure it's not damaged in any places. And if I didn't see any damage, then I would assume that the break is happening where it's soldered, and I would take the solder off, clean it, cut the wire at the end, strip it, solder in, start new solder, and super easy, and new connection. And then of course, if the problem continues, then you know it wasn't that, but usually it's that. So again, I don't think the solder joint went bad. I think the wires are broken or cracked or frayed, and they're breaking connection. So you can desolder it, cut off the wire, and put a new wire down. Should be easy. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Pedal Pal Effects. Hey guys, what's up? Everybody knows Pedal Pal Effects. Their question is hard. I saw it and I have to answer it because it's super hard as my dog barks. It says, what is your most important tool that you use in your workshop that you would recommend that all of us should have? Cheers. That's a tough one. It's tough. It's a tough question. In my shop, because when I think of that, it's like, what's the most important is one I use the most. What tool am I using the most besides like an Allen wrench? Probably in my world, a tool that I would use. I'm going to try to think. Please allow me to say a couple tools just so I can work it out in my head. Because again, questions like this without any time to think about it, I just got to mentally picture what I use. I want to say tools that I use every day, every single day. Fret rocker for sure. String gauge measuring. Yeah, string action height ruler, I should say. What else? Because I'm usually diagnosing stuff, to figure out what's going on. So those two things are probably the most I use every day. Because every other tool is a tool that fixes a problem, but it doesn't matter what the problem is. You have to still figure it out. So diagnostic tools are things I use every day, but there's so many tools I use every day. I will show you this though. And this, again, I always get grief whenever I talk about this, but I want to show you. This is the tool I use so much that I have 3 of these. And I'm going to warn you, it's super crazy expensive. And if you find a version of it and you like, go with that one. But this is the StewMac tool. The reason I'm showing you this is because I'm literally sitting here and you can see this is what I was using today. This is the Phillips head screw. I love this thing. I love it. And what's funny is I told you I have 3 of them. They sent me one. I bought 2. So I just like having them around. I have one in my shop. I have one in my truck. Well, I don't have a truck anymore. I had one in my truck. Anyways, and then one up here upstairs in this room, and I'm using it all the time. In fact, I was using 2 different screwdriver heads, and it has all the Allen wrenches and everything. It's cool. These are like $50. They're nuts. You got to get some kind of, I've tried, guys. So, if you find one, please let me know. I'm okay with it. If you find a less expensive one, I like how the big StewMac, it's like, anyways, this one's like $50, but I have tried to find ones. I have the Music Nomad one as well, and it's a really quality one. In fact, like I said, I think it's better quality built than this thing, but this thing's so freaking useful. I use it for everything. And I tried to buy a couple weird ones I found on Amazon and stuff, and they just not up to snuff. So it's not that it's a great tool, it's that I have never I've never found anything like it, and I use it all the time. I love it. It's great. And it's expensive. So there you go. Because I cannot justify the $50 for this. I just can't. I wish I could as I stare at it. I wish I could be like, other than the fact I use it. So, let's see. And like I said, there you go. That's my answer to that. Oh, somebody says, what is it? It's a StewMac. Just a StewMac, just go to StewMac and type in toolkit. This comes up. It's this little red box. And it's like, you can see it has every kind of attachment. It has every kind of screwdriver. It has every kind of Allen wrench, things to press holes in things. I watch videos, so you know, the guys at Texas Toast use one. Every time I see any kind of luthier channel, there's one of these things floating around somewhere because it's really, really just a nice little toolkit. There you go. That's why I always suggest it. Yeah, Ted says, I said Music Nomad has one. They do. I did a video. If you look at my Music Nomad video where I go through those tools, they have one. And it's a little bit more, like I said, well built, but it doesn't, so longevity wise, it feels a little more suitable and stable. The problem is it has less things in it. So this isn't about anything other than just how much stuff is in it. It's so much stuff. So Dave's not here said that red Telecaster behind you looks like a Dane Electro. Yeah, it's a Fiesta red and it's semi-hollow and with a white side and back. It's cool. Tinkerbell says, does StewMac have the Floyd Rose intonation tool that you said you like? Yes, they do. And that one is also should be available at floydroseupgrades.com. And I think you can get it on Amazon as well. You know what I mean? So there you go. And then Guitar 1952 says it's good quality. Even the case is good. Like I said, it's funny. This is one of those things where like I said, StewMac sent me one. Most of my StewMac tools, like 99% of my StewMac tools, I bought myself. Okay. And then StewMac sent me one of these things and I was like, oh, okay. And then I got addicted to it. So I bought 2 of them. So there you go. That's the best endorsement you can give to somebody. They gave me one and I'm like, oh, I need more. Because I kept finding every time I didn't have it, I was like, kind of like, you know, it sucked. All right. Okay, and then Matt's talking about, just because we're still talking about the subject, he says Music Nomad kit does have the spacers. That's a nice touch that the StewMac cat doesn't have. Yeah, they're hard to compare because, like I said, they're both toolkits, but the StewMac one, this is like this little, I don't know what you call it, like every kind of micro adjuster. Like me. Oh, you know what's funny? Here's a perfect example. Hold on, let me look. Right here. So I just said I had the toolkit right here. It's funny, I have this Phillip. I had to put the backplate on a guitar, so I put the big Phillips head screwdriver on to put the backplate. But the reason I had it out in the first place was I was taking knobs off of a guitar that had the little Allen wrenches on the side, and these have the little Allen wrenches in the kit. So that's why I like it. And then I was working on one of my modules for my pickup loading guitar, and again, it has the adjustments for that too. So it has everything I need. Eddie says, hey Phil, since we're on tool subject, we'll stay on this. Eddie says, hey Phil, have you heard anything about the Music Nomad files? They're not out yet. I have not. I've seen them, the little yellow ones. They're nut files on like $200. I think I told you guys this, can I try anything we talk about? Music Nomad reached out to me mid-December, and asked me if I was interested in checking out their new setup kit. And I let them know that I would be willing to do a video talking about it and going over it, but I'd like to get my hands on some other stuff to make other videos. This is what I've been trying to kind of come at companies lately more and more with. Saying, hey, look, I know you want me to make this video. This is, again, stuff we talked about on this show before. I know you want me to make this video for this product and show it to the audience. I have no problem doing that. But it would be really nice in this reciprocal arrangement if we could then do a couple things that I think is interesting, or like you guys have asked that are interesting. And the last communication seemed very positive, but again, it was end of year, and so we penned it. So maybe I'll go back to it. But yeah, that would be what I would do with those. Is I would do a video checking them out, see what you guys think. Okay. Oh yeah, Leonardo says, just realized something was off. It's not only is it Thursday, but you're not wearing my Vans hat. I'm not. I'm wearing this Paul Reed Smith hat. This is my favorite hat because I think it's a golf hat. I'm not really, I should be. With my Chrome Dome, you'd think I'd be a hat guy. You know what I mean? I know all kinds. I don't buy hats. It's weird. And when I was in 2018, I was at the PRS event. You know, I flew there and went there. And when I was there before I left, I saw this hat and I go, oh, I love this hat. And I bought it. And this is funny. I bought the hat and I came home and we just had a puppy who's now, you know, he's our dog now, but he was a puppy then, and he ate it the first day. It was like, I think I paid $30 for this stupid hat and the dog ate it the first day. And so I was at a Guitar Center like a month later and they were selling them for the same price. So I bought this hat. But yeah, I like the way this hat feels. So yeah, but I try not to wear branded stuff other than my brand, the Know Your Gear shirts and the Vans hat. I try not to wear guitar brands. Because not for any reason, then when I say something and someone will say, if I say something like, oh, Fender's a great brand, they're like, did you just say Fender's a great brand wearing a PRS hat? I don't know why that's a thing people say on the internet, but I see it all the time with guys doing reviews. They'll wear a Fender shirt and they'll be like, you know who actually got that the worst, since we're talking about it? George Lynch. George Lynch did a video for, I want to say, Randall amps, and in the video, he's wearing like a Mesa Boogie shirt or something. I might have it all backwards, but you get the idea. And almost all the comments are like, why is he wearing that brand shirt while he's doing this brand review? So I try not to have I try not to wear the guitar brands on my head and shirts and stuff when I'm doing videos, because I think it's too fanboyish to wear the brand that you're reviewing at the time. And it's weird apparently to people if you wear a brand different than the brand you're reviewing. So there you go. Fox the Hound says 1,000 viewers. Let's see if we can get the likes. Yeah, let's get the likes to like 300. And then it will break the internet. Possum Man said, you probably already said, but what did you do with the Glary you did? So I'm assuming you mean the Glary that has the stainless steel frets. It's the guitar I'm using for downstairs. So I tend to use a guitar downstairs and I rotate one out every once in a while. It's the guitar I'm playing downstairs right now. And then all the Glaries that I've ever reviewed, except for the bass, we gave the bass away. I'm using for some kind of project, or I'm still using. Because like I said, that's what they're good for. They're good for projects. Dale Hamilton says, Phil, where can I find your setup sheet? We used to have them on a link on all the videos. And the problem was the link was to the website. And then I started realizing that I'm paying like $400 a year for the website just for you guys to get links. And it didn't seem like a really... smart way to spend money. So I go, okay, we'll do Dropbox or something like that. And then during the change, I thought I'll revamp the sheets. I haven't done it yet. So what's nice about a comment like that, and what's why I read it out loud, so you know, I read it out loud not so much to address it, but to when I'm watching the timestamp in this, to remind myself, like, I need to do that. You're right, Dale. You're not the first. You're the 50th person to ask me about those sheets. I will make sure it gets done. I even had some customers recently ask me if I could update the sheets because they were saying, hey, it would be cool if you add some stuff. And I'm like, all right. There you go. There you go. I will make sure it gets done. It's I think I'll have some time coming up soon that will be perfect for doing something like that on my laptop. Okay, so let's get to some of the questions. Says, I don't know why I would start it and then drink. Okay, it says, James says, Phil, how did learning the bass affect your learning guitar? Well, it's backwards. I started on guitar for a brief minute, then I switched to bass, and then I lived on bass forever. And the bass thing for me was, I told the story, I think, last week about how I became a bass player, right? Like most bass players by default. The band needed a bass player. I was a guitar player. I became a bass player. What I didn't probably tell you guys is how I stayed a bass player for so long. How I stayed a bass player was I was broke. So I sold my guitars to become a bass player. And then being in a band broke, and just being broke in general, at one point I was living in my truck. Like it's not even. Actually, I'll tell you, I was living in my truck with expired tags. I used to have to park under this bridge. I lived in a truck under a bridge. This is true. It's, you know, not every part of your life is glamorous. And then what ended up happening, short while after that, I joined the Army. as I said, that's what you do, right? You know, when you're like I've told this story before, when you're siphoning gas out of a car that doesn't run to put in the car that doesn't run, you're not doing so great. You know, you've got to find an opportunity, and I was lucky enough to find that opportunity. But that being said, I did what some soldiers, many of them, have done. I sold all my belongings and joined. Okay, that's just, you know, what you do, right? So you have money. Anyways, when I was in the service, and then when I got out of the service, I never had money for the guitar. I kept a bass, so I had a bass. So I didn't have a guitar. And then finally, the woman I married, who's amazing, she bought me a guitar again. So that's how I ended up with a guitar again. She bought me a guitar. And but mostly all that time I just had a bass. So I played bass for many, many years with no guitars because that's all I had. I had the one bass. And then so how did it affect? I know that's not what you asked me, but it's how did it affect the way I learned guitar, especially coming back to guitar? It really affected me because to really put perspective on things, I didn't really even mess with the guitar very much until I opened a guitar store. If you watch the timeline of what I've said in the past, is, you know, you got to understand, I was building basses, selling basses through a long, very long story, ended up opening a guitar store. And then, of course, you know, selling guitars to customers, demoing guitars, which became more predominant in my life, like doing YouTube videos now, playing guitar more and more because of my job, which was at the time the store and repairing guitars. And then, of course, you know, like doing YouTube videos. So how does it affect me? I think it made me a better guitar player, although that's a hard thing to say but I feel like it did. I feel overall like it improved my situation. I think there's a lot of things the bass did for me that I really like. So it really, and here's why. And that's what I want to do. I don't want to just tell you like, oh, it made things better. Let me tell you why. How the bass made things better. The bass, playing bass, being a bass player taught me that you can be a dumb guitar player. Please bear with me until I get to this point. Before, when I was playing guitar, when I switched to bass, everything was about how I didn't do on guitar. Like I didn't play like guys like Pete Thorne. I didn't play like guys like RJ Ronquillo. I didn't play like, you know, Phil X's. I wasn't that great of a guitar player. So everything was like, I got to get better. 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 And then when I took on bass, I did the same logic. I got to get better. I got to get better. Slapping, popping, tapping. And then you realize real fast, unlike guitar players, which not entirely, but you get the idea. Unlike guitar players, bass players that can play really well are a pain in the ass in a band. Nobody wants a good guitar player. The joke I always say is if a bass player shows up for audition with anything more than a P bass, they have too much ambition. Don't hire that guy. You want a bass player who's just going to play in the pocket and play the straight stuff. For most bands, please, you know, if you're in a band and you're like, no, we absolutely need the best bass player ever. Good for you. That's why Flea has a gig, okay? But the average bass player in a band is the Michael Anthonys. It's the guys who basically hold it down for the rest of the band. And so what happened was that was years of that playing in bands as a bass player taught me everyone else is the show. I'm just the support. And so now as a guitar player, that's why I said I'm not really great at soloing. I'm not really great as a virtuoso kind of guitar playing because it's not something that appeals to me. I'm more of a, this is what I need to know and do to play with my friends, to play at a jam night. This is how I, think of this when I did that event where I played the 1,000 bass or 1,000 musicians played in front of 26,000 people. We did that event. That was all dumbed down basic stuff that I think not so much that, obviously being a better guitar player would have made it easier, but it was that thing that it's like, I understood I don't need to be the best to be part of this giant thing that's going to play in front of 26,000 people. And it really kind of centered me. So bass playing as a whole has centered me to understand, for me, guitar does not have to be complicated. Okay. By the way, sometimes in comments and videos, somebody's like, oh, why is he playing open chords? Or why did he do this? And they're like, and I'm like, well, because I'm just showing you the guitar. I want the guitar to be the star of the show in my videos. I don't need me to be the star of the show. I'm not trying to dazzle you. Sometimes I get comments like, man, your playing's really improved. And it's because sometimes the comments are such that I go, they're like, their critique is that I'm not playing enough, and then I play a little bit more, and then people go, oh, that's much better. But ultimately, I get a little weary of that because I want the guitar, the amp, the pedal to be the star. I want you to, that's what you're watching the video for. You're watching the video to see if you like this pedal or if it's interesting or this guitar is interesting. You don't need me. You know, if you want to listen to great guitar playing, well, listen to a great guitar player. You're supposed to be watching my channel to see what's interesting products or gear or things we're talking about. So James, to answer your question, I think I did, which is I think being a bass player let me understand that you can be a dumb guitar player. It's okay. The world needs them. Bands need them. They're useful. Maybe dumb is not the right word. Average guitar player? Maybe that's better than dumb. Shouldn't call, I don't know. I hope that makes sense. Brad Coleman says, if anyone shopping on Reverb got a full professional video of their guitar being modded, they would absolutely pay premium to cover the labor. So he's talking about when we were talking about earlier about the sharpen my axes and stuff. Yeah, I'm very aware. I'm not dumb. Okay. I am dumb. I'm a dumb guitar player. I just said it. No, I said I'm very, thank you, Brad, but I'm very aware that I can get top dollar for the products. What I'm trying to say is I'm trying not to do that. You know what I mean? I'm trying to find a spot where I recoup the money. You guys get good value. You know what I mean? I'm always looking for the win-win thing for people. I think most people are like this. I do. You feel like you meet a lot of assholes when you walk around every day. It just feels like there's abundance of them. And just like me, I feel like the abundance of comments are negative. But when you really look at it, you got to recenter. I'm using that term again. You got to remember, like, the majority of people are not. It's really a nice place out there. And I say that only because it's not ever. I'm never going to say that there's not bad people. There's tons of them. But like I said, I really think overall is good people. And the reason I think that is because overall, most places you can walk and not get killed. Most places you can meet somebody and have a pleasant experience. I mean, it's obviously happens every day, every minute. So that being said, I kind of really try to lean into this environment of, people having good experiences. And it's tough. It's tough because no matter how hard you try, somebody's always going to feel like they got the wrong end of the deal. So that's why I said I'll try and do my best when it comes to that video stuff. But even then, some of you guys are like, hey, that's really nice you feel. But even then, I'm still going to see somebody who's going, yeah, screw this guy. Happens. I'm not old, I'm vintage. Says, for use of shenanigans and to buy a R in frustrating. Cheers. That's awesome. It says, Rodrigo says, how about a Floyd Rose guitar without a locking nut? I've been searching for that subject. There's mixed reviews. Cheers. From Brazil. The answer to the question is, yeah, of course. There's tons of guitars. No, not tons of guitars. There are guitars without locking nuts. You don't have to lock the nut on a Floyd Rose. You can just take the 3 locks off and just use the guitar like a normal guitar. Just if you dive bomb and do stuff, you'll knock it out of tune just like you would on any other guitar. But generally, the Floyd will stay in tune like it would if it was a Strat tremolo or a Godo tremolo. So you don't have to. In fact, they used to, not so much now, but they used to make a lot of aftermarket nuts. There's still companies that make them. They're like bone nuts that are wide and will fit into that Floyd Rose slot. I don't think you have to do that. I think just take those 3 lockers off. I told you guys, I ordered a custom guitar from a company to do a video, and they're putting the Floyd Rose, the vintage Floyd Rose that doesn't have the locking nut. So, okay, how are we doing on time? We're doing good. All right. I think let me make sure, because sometimes I say stuff and then I look and the screen isn't updating the way it should be. And it was not. Okay, so I'm going to say on Super Chats after Tinkerbell, it's actually S. I don't know how to say it. A-E-S, S, 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 S. That's the last super chat. And then I'll do some non-super chats and we'll kind of mix them up a little bit. So let me get to Grumpy Mike Guitar. Grumpy Mike Guitar says, for the jar, for the enjoyment, and maybe to become a rich YouTuber too. You never know. Grumpy Mike, I hope you're doing it for the enjoyment. It's a cool gig when it can work, but it's interesting. But anyways, my still point is enjoy it, and you guys please check out our channel. Adam did a super chat, and perfect example. It didn't know a question, so let's find one of those non-super chatted questions. Let's find somebody who has a question, since somebody was... this is not the question, but just a reminder. Dale says, why is it not today and not tomorrow? Here's why it is. I'm not going to physically be here able to do the video tomorrow. So I knew that early on this week. I have a lot of stuff going on, including today. Today I did a CT scan. I told you guys I had some stuff. It looks all good now, but still more scans, more stuff. I only tell you guys because I'm like such a nimrod when it comes to this stuff. I don't even know what a CT scan is. I asked the girl today, please enjoy the make fun of me, okay? I asked the girl today doing the CT scan that it's like, do I need to take like anything magnetic away? And she's like, that's not a CT scan. That's like an MRI. I'm like, oh, that's different. I thought it was a big magnet. I apologize. All right. Maybe I should have Googled it. So back to a real question about guitars. All right. As I look real fast. Okay, Sean Brooks. Here's his question. Sean Brooks says, Phil recently bought a Tone King Gremlin. Absolutely love it. I'm surprised they do not get more attention. What do you think? Why do you think that is? I can only tell you why I don't give it attention. You know, what's funny is Tone King amps are, a lot of them are copies, or, I don't want to say copies, but they're designed after like Fenders. Interesting enough, I did this video, let's back up. In 2020, COVID, in the beginning of COVID, in January, I was asked to go to an event at basically Boutique Amps, was Tone King amps, and you saw those videos. I did one with Mike Soldano and Brian Wampler and Steve Vai, and they said, let's build a Tone King amp. I get to pick the colors and stuff, and we get to review on the channel, and I get to use it and have it on the channel and keep it and stuff. And obviously COVID happened, so it's pushed that back. So to answer your question, Sean, I thought I was getting one on the channel, but COVID's kind of really messed that up and it's pushed that back. And so once that all gets resolved, I'm sure it will show up one day, and then I will do videos on it, and we'll try to get some attention on that brand. But so the one I played, the one I ordered is so good. So good. And it's the worst. It's the double-edged sword, so you guys know. Here's the double-edged sword. They said they're going to send it out. Obviously, COVID happened. I liked it so much, I would have just bought one. But it doesn't make sense to buy something that somebody's going to probably send out eventually. So that's why. So to answer your question, I haven't been pushing them or talking about them because I can't. I'm waiting for the one they're going to ship, and if as soon as I either find out, either it comes and we'll talk about them on the channel, or if it never comes, then I'll just buy one because I want one really bad. And I don't want to tell you guys which one because then you won't watch the video, and why. That's a good. Thank you for the question, Sean. Now let's go to whose question? We're going to go to Jamie. Jamie says, hey, I have an Epiphone Wildcat. What pickups do you recommend to get close to Eddie Cochran guitar? Your thoughts on this guitar? I love the Wildcat guitar. Like I said, I'm a big fan of Epiphone hollow bodies and Ibanez hollow bodies. It's like they're two companies I think have mastered the affordable hollow bodies by far. To answer your question about pickups, I don't know the answer. And I hate to say that to you, but I'd rather tell you I don't know than make up some pickup that just ran. Everything I could do would just be a random thought. It wouldn't be anything that's based on an experience that leads you down the right road. But sometimes when I do that, at least I can say, hey, look, if you're watching right now, there's like I said, almost 1,000 of us. If you guys got some suggestions, throw them at Jamie. And now I'll put some thought into it going forward, Jamie. Maybe that's something maybe that'd be a good video, something like that. Lewis says, hey, Phil, what do you think of Fujigen's circle fretting system? when it comes to refretting, would you need to buy special frets from Fujifilm? I don't know what that is. Why do I not know what that is? So, Lewis, bad news. I can't answer your question. Good news is I will timestamp this circle fretting system where I'll put a link when I do this to that system. And then, of course, I'll be researching it this weekend to find out what the heck that is. At least it doesn't seem familiar. I could Google it, but I don't think I'll have a reference of it fast enough. So there you go. Matt says, since you mentioned Floyd intonation tools, does that work with detuna? Okay. Also, what's your feeling on Music Nomad's string, fuel, fast fret, downsides? Okay. So, does the intonations? No. So the question he's asking is what I was talking about with intonating your Floyd Rose. You don't need. It's nice to have this tool they make that clips on and lets you fine tune the saddle and adjust it. Does it work with the detuna? No. Yes and no. There's a little bit of you take the detuna off, then you do it, then you put the detuna back. So yes and no. And that's why detuna gives you multiple, I don't know what you call them, adjusters, and you usually keep the original one as well. So, but yes, it's a little bit more problematic with the detuna, but not so much, not so much. Nothing on a Floyd Rose is fast. Think about this. Everything about the Floyd Rose is slow. Tuning it, setting it up, intonating it. But once you do those things, it's locked in. It's good to go because it's amazing. By the way, since we're talking about Floyd Rose so much today, I should point out, Floyd sent me this cool thing. I love it. And I put a link last week's video. I have a link in today's video. Floyd Rose, what I love about this is Floyd sent me, it's in the links down below. And it says, for my old school metal fans, check out Floyd Rose's song from the band Rick Pierce Group. So that's literally Floyd Rose. Floyd sent this to me and said, hey, if you ever get a chance to suggest my band to your viewers, here's my link to my YouTube video. The reason I suggest to you, and again, it's new music, but it's got the old school 80s flair. But what I loved about it, and I wanted to talk about it, is, dude, every time I meet anyone in this industry that builds guitars, builds guitar parts, fixes guitars, designs amps, you always forget that they're musicians, that they love music, that's our connection, that's at the core of it. It always seems like, of course Floyd Rose makes bridges because he gets money. And you forget, no, he's just a guy who loves music, and he had a frustrating thing happen with his guitar. And you see what I'm saying? And you forget, not only do they love music, but they play music. He's got a band. How cool is that? He still plays and loves music because that's always what it's going to be about. And that's the thing. Talk about a thing that tells a story. Here, this is a gear channel. We're talking about another thing that we don't need that we can buy. But it's not about that. It's about this music and our connection with music. And that's just so freaking awesome right now, in what feels like, if you're not dying of cabin fever from COVID, you're dying of the frustration. God, I keep saying frustration. I feel like I'm just doing that as a joke. I'm not, guys. You know what I'm saying? I think we all feel a little pent up right now in every way you can. And I just wanted to point out, I thought it was cool. If you want to check out Floyd Rose's band on YouTube, check it out. If you like 80s metal, it's cool. But more importantly, just cool to see the guy who makes this bridge that we all talk about. He still likes to play music. That's the thing that started him, and that's the thing he still does. It's still cool. All right. And that's what's important, by the way. I feel like this is an after school message, but it's not, I promise. And then the second part of Matt's question was Music Nomad string fuel, fast fret, downsides. So downsides of using string cleaners, that's basically what that is. Fast fret, obviously fast fret and string fuel are not only string cleaners, but also lubricants to play faster. Downsides? None that I know of. I've never seen either one of them damage finish on guitars. Like, I've never had a customer go, man, look at the finish, and then go, what happened? And they go, I use fast fret. Like, I've never seen that. So there's no downsides. Like I said, my issue is my hands are super, super, super dry. I don't have sweaty hands. So I don't need any kind of that stuff. My hands are kind of like, I can't open a bag at the grocery store. I can do this on a bag at the grocery store. I can do this for an hour. and it will never open. because they're just, I just have dry hands. So everybody has different issues with their hands. Some have sweaty hands. Some have like a acidic sweat in their hands. Some have dry hands. So some have hands with issues because they work so much with their hands as a day job. They have all this calcified stuff on their hands besides the callus from the playing guitar. So in that case, no, if you think they'll help you and you like them, there's no downsides that I know of. Mr. Fancy Hands said, also wanted to do a second super chat after hearing your Sharper Max plan. You're truly unbiased source of information. And hold on, I want to address that too. Amongst the noise of sorry, my dog is going crazy right now. He said, he's saying that I'm a truly unbiased source of information amongst the noise. And I sincerely thank you for going to these links for us. And I really appreciate that compliment, but I really love this subject. I am not unbiased. And I love it what you mean by this. So let me tell you what he means. He's saying I'm honest. I really feel like I'm being honest. I feel that way because, one, I'm being honest, but also I've paid the price. Like all these YouTubers, I should put myself on the cross right now and be like, yeah, woe is me. But I mean, hey, man, there are some people in this industry that I love and look up to, and I've had them tell me off. It's a hard thing. It's a hard thing. You can sit there and say I'm whining. It's probably is whining, but Jesus, it's a kick in the crotch. You know what I mean? When you're like, all I meant to say was, you can improve this. Or I wanted the audience to know what they should expect if they bought it, and now this person's pissed at me and hates me. It kind of sucks. That's honesty. Biasness and unbiased is the thing I don't think we get confused. I have biases. That's why I want you guys to know what they are. I want you to know what my bias is. That's why I say, hey, my good friends at so-and-so gave me this thing to talk to you about today. I don't say that for any other reason. Well, one, to be kind and thank them, but also let you guys know, heads up, I like these people. I'm probably going to tell you the truth up until not insulting them in their face. Why? Not because they paid me, but because they're my friends. Who you guys insulting besides busting people's chops. I don't insult my friends. Lawrence Petros, I've done his review of his pedals many times. Every video I've said, he's my friend. We go to lunch together. I always say this, the great thing about that is knowing the bias. He is my friend, but we became friends because we met and I liked his pedal. I bought his pedal, I liked it, and we became friends. I think that's great for you guys to know that. I like his product legitimately, and we became friends. Now that you know that, weight your decision on what I say based on that information. If you find that you feel like Phil can't honestly tell me he hates it if he's friends with that guy, well, if you feel that way, I understand, and I hope you factor that in. Factor everything I say into your decisions, right? And like I said, it's not hard to figure out. So I appreciate the compliment, and like I said, but I always like to kind of hit this subject pretty hard. I really think the whole bias thing is not so much a factor for most people. Everyone's biased. It's just, are they telling you what the bias is? That's the honesty, telling you the bias, or telling you the bias when it's negative. You know what I mean? I've said that too in a video, like, hey, I'm not really into this type of guitar, but here's how it goes. You know what I mean? Now you know. You're like, okay, great. It's funny. I just want to say this. It's one of my favorite things that somebody says to me. They're like, you'll say, hey, I'm thinking about trying this restaurant. And they go, well, I really don't like Cajun food. And I went there and it was okay, or it was not very good. Knowing that they don't like Cajun food, it doesn't mean it lets you discount everything that they say after that. If they say something negative, then you understand that negative could be part of that bias. If they say something positive, that actually gives it more weight because you're like, wow, they don't even like Cajun food and they liked it. That's how I try to come across on everything I say is that, not just to give you guys an insight in that. And by the way, anytime you guys see me on that, call me on it. Tell me, Phil, I'll just keep adjusting as we go. This is the funnest gig I've had doing this YouTube thing, hanging out with you guys. And I would love to say I don't want it to ever end. I don't know about that. But I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy doing it for all the right reasons. And I hope you guys, we can all keep each other honest, because it's a tough gig, man. It's a tough world. Okay, so we got 400 thumbs up. Remember I said we'd be great if we had 3? I know Van's trying to, or sorry, I know, Ross. It was Ross. I know Ross is like, more thumbs up, but just so you know, 400 was fantastic. That's awesome. All right. More is more, but that's still great. 400 thumbs up is, I think it's the highest thumbs up I ever got on a live show while we're doing. I don't know. We have Vinny. Vinny did one of those birds giving you a thumb up sticker. It's called a sticker. It's a super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. Let's do a non-super chat question. Van says best Eddie Van Halen pickups for my PRS. Well, I mean, the Wolfgang pickups are good. The 78 by Seymour Duncan's a good pickup. I like the Tone Zone pickup. That's the one I use. I don't have it here. I have a video with the Tone Zone coming out, talking about it. So the other thing too, Van, is here's another thing that might help you out. I would, if you're thinking about good pickups for your guitar that you want Van Halen, wait 2 weeks. I think something will be presented to you that will help you make that decision. Very cool. It's really like two days, but 2 weeks is safe. So there you go. But those are some suggestions if you need something like now. Then we have DWC just did a super chat for no reason. Thank you, DW. I appreciate that. Let's look at some non-super champs. Super champs. My knee hurts says, is Rick Pierce Tim's brother? He's talking about Tim Pierce. I don't know, but I'll tell you, it might be. I need to ask Tim. Here's why. I met Floyd, and when I say met, virtually through emails, through Tim Pierce. Tim is good friends with Floyd. In fact, you guys might have seen it. Is it here? It's not here. You guys might have seen briefly around here, there's a Floyd Rose guitar hanging around. Tim Pierce sent that to me. I'm going to do a video of it. You'll see that video soon. And it's literally, that's the title of the video. Why Tim Pierce sent me this guitar. Oh, it's right there. For those of you on the podcast, you'll just be frustrated why you wonder what I'm pointing at. No, I'm pointing at a Floyd Rose guitar that you, anyways. The video will all explain everything. But to answer your question, my knees hurt. I don't know if that's Tim Pierce's brother, but I assume, right? It just seems so weird that Tim knows Floyd. Tim's how I was introduced to Floyd, and Floyd's in a band with a guy named Rick Pierce. So I need to ask Tim. That's yes, good question. Good question. Somebody might know the answer. If they do, just put it out there. But either ways, I'll text Tim and find out. Okay. What else do we got? We got more questions. That's what we got. You know what? That wasn't a fair one to do. I was taking the super chat and answering a non-super chat question, and that's, that's not really a guitar question. Okay. Okay, Stephen Turner, this isn't a question too, but it's just something interesting. I'm curious. It says, I like how you are never pushing a product of yours. You are sort of like a Consumer Reports for Guitar Tech. Yeah, yes and no. Remember, I do push product. I'm always like, remember my shirts. Yeah, but I understand what you mean. Yeah, I'm trying to keep it, low key, but you have to. Look, don't find the reason I love to be on the bandwagon. Like, yeah, of course, I don't push my product, and think about the YouTubers that do. That's not it, man. I got this is sometimes I'm using the power that you're saying that I'm not out there pushing product to kind of solidify what I'm about to say. Being a musician, whether that be a musician who plays on a stage, a studio musician, a musician on YouTube, an Instagram musician, someone who reviews gear, which is, still a musician, artistic form. It's an insane gig of uncertainty and extreme highs and extreme lows. And the reason I tell you that is they have to hawk stuff. I've said this before. Look at you guys super chatting the crap out of me every week. I appreciate that. That's what fuels the fire of this. You super chats, patrons, the dollars that I get from YouTube. It's all coming in, man. What do you think? It's great. It's awesome. However, It's lots of little pennies, and it works because of those reasons. I remind people, like, these are all the ways you can support what I do. So you're going to have to see that. You can't enjoy free YouTube and not see people hawking their YouTube stuff. It's just part of it. So I'm not saying, I just wanted to point out the reason why I read your question is, although I appreciate the compliment to me, I don't ever want to denigrate or take away from the people that are out there hustling, because really, remember, at the end of the day, even though we're all the same. No one wants to watch a commercial, right? No one wants to go to a game and see brought to you by Pepsi. No one wants to see the product placements in movies. That being said, it's getting harder and harder to survive doing an artistic type of job. And you're going to see, and the reason I got to tell you this is not only because it's a thing, it's going to get worse. You're going to see it more. It's going to happen more. You can't stop it. It's just how it is. But, I understand there's overdoing it too. So again, I'm trying to bond with you on your point, but also see, relate the other side of this too, which is, there you go. Okay. Hold on a second. I'm looking for a question mark first, so you guys know. Steven's question is, he says, hey, first, thanks for the Tune Ninja. You're welcome, buddy. He's the one who won it. I sent it out. And I hope my wife sent stickers with that, but she told me she did. She's usually pretty on it. She says, if she says she did it, she did it. It says, the question is, do you epoxy a fretless fretboard on a bass? I have done that 2 or 3 times for customers. So what he's talking about is, it's a thing we used to do. I haven't done it in years. The last time I did it was got to be at least 2008, because it's like, you kind of remember things now as probably like what's going to happen with COVID. I remember everything is like pre-recession, post-recession, and it's going to be pre-COVID and post-COVID. Isn't it nice that all the horrible crap that happens to us is the things we mark time with? Anyways, so I haven't done one since during recession. And it's what it basically does. You take a bass, you pull all the frets out of it. And then I use maple, so I use a saw. I clean out all the fret slots, make them nice. Then I insert and glue in pieces of maple, strips of maple in there. They stick out a little bit, and then you kind of just plane them down, sand it, radius the fretboard, and then you spread epoxy over there, and then you kind of let it settle, and then you sand that and it harden the fretboard. I find it was weird. It was like a thing we did forever, and then it just stopped. People stopped doing it. I don't really have a whole lot of bass players asking me to make fretless basses anymore. And I think the reason Steven is the reason I'm talking about this way is, I think the main reason is because you can buy a fretless bass for like a nickel. Not really, but you understand. You know what I mean? In my opinion, once they made the fretless Squire bass and some of the Ibanez fretless basses for like the $299 range new, that's usually what did it. Usually a lot of bass players did a fretless because it was like, okay, I want a fretless in the collection, or I want to try and mess around with fretless. Serious fretless guys get really nuts expensive fretless basses if they can afford them. So, obviously Jocko, yeah, and that was another thing too. Jocko did it. Jocko pulled the frets and did that. So the answer to the question is, do I epoxy the fretboard on a bass when I do a fretless? I used to, and then the last one I did, I didn't anymore. So, and I've probably done 4, maybe 5, I'll round up, but probably 4 my whole life. Again, it's not something that comes in every day, like, some other stuff. Okay. Darren wants to know, any thoughts on the Gibson high performance models? Picked up an HP SG on Reverb from Gibson Demo Shop and on a whim this week, despite never putting my hands on one. I have not tried them. I have not tried the high performance models, but I love that Gibson Demo Shop. It seems really cool. I actually found out in the weirdest way about that thing. I guess that's like Trogley was talking about all the time. Now, I only found that out because I was watching the Tone King. I had that playing in the background. I was working on a guitar, and then somebody on the Tone King's channel, like viewers, were talking to Tone King about Trogley talking about the Demo Shop. It was like this third. I was like, oh crap, that's cool. And I tend to listen more than I watch YouTube. So a lot of times when I watch YouTube, I'm not watching, I'm listening because I'm working. So a lot of times if the videos are more visual, it's hard for me to put them on and leave them in the background. So I was doing that. So that was really cool. I really like the idea. I actually thought about getting something down there, but I haven't heard anything, but I'm curious to see what you think of it. I'm curious to check it out. Buzz says, wanting to upgrade my pickups in my Mexican Strat, wanting a piano-like chimey cleans and good transient custom shop, Lawler, Fralin, or other. Well, I love Lawler. I love Fralin, Lindy Fralin. And we've had this discussion before on the channel, not for this guitar, but just in general. I think I'm more of a Fralin guy, but I love Lawlers just as much. I pick Fralins. No particular reason why. So I maybe go with Fralins. I don't know. I know I have another pickup video. I have 3 coming. That's great. And one of them is weird single coil pickups. I'm doing, I don't know if it'll clickbait anyone, but you just what you're hoping for, getting some views on that. But it's, I basically made up like 4 different cartridges of crazy single coil pickups that are just out of this world weird, and to load them in a guitar. And one of them has that sound you're talking about. Bruce says, when are you going to get a FGN to review? I've got 2, and they're neoclassical Les Paul style, and they are awesome guitars. I think more people should know about them. Sure, this is what's great. That would be another brand that I've talked about, that I've heard you guys talk about, and now that's something we'll do. We'll address it. There's no more no's now on the channel for that stuff. So if you guys want me to review guitars, just keep reminding me that's the guitar you want me to check out, do a video. Most of them will turn into some kind of Sharpen My Axe, because that's the way I think it's going to make sense, feasibly to make sense, that I can do a review, do a Sharpen My Axe video, sell the product off, recoup the money, and churn it back again and keep these videos going. And the reason, like I said, it's just too hard. I've tried, talking to companies. It's weird. Like I said, it's to some companies, I can make a phone call right now, and if I wanted a nice guitar sent to me, they just give it to me. They wouldn't even think about it. And that sounds like it's like, oh, look at me. But on that same notion, I can sit there and back and forth with a company 16 emails just to get a $200 guitar sent out so I can borrow it, so I can make a video and promote for their company. And it just makes your head hurt either way. You know what I mean? And you can imagine, you find yourself, I find myself, I don't want to accuse any YouTubers of anything I don't know anything about. I find myself slowly leaning into the who's easy, right? I have a good friend, and he said this thing, it's amazing, and I love it. I said, why don't you call, I was asking him a question, why don't you call them and ask them if they'll do it? And he says, you know why? Because I already know their first answer is a no, and I don't like dealing with anybody where their first answer is a no. He goes, because then it's just a fight after that. That's how it is in this industry. Some companies, it's a no and it's a yeah. And some companies are a fast yes and some companies are a fast no. And what I find is slowly I go, hey, everybody, another one of these on the channel. Why? Because that's the company that always gives me the fast yes. Can we check out one of these on the channel? Sure. Then meanwhile, I have you guys saying, hey, can't we check out some other stuff? And why don't you check out this? And why don't you do that? And so that's why I said I'm done with that. So if the companies are fast no, we'll just buy it ourselves and do the videos. Done. Or not we did. Congratulations to us. So DWC says, thanks to you, I just got a great deal on a new Gibson Les Paul Standard. Found the shop on Reverb and called them direct per your advice. Awesome deal. Always, always, always talk to somebody in person. All the guitars I bought for the videos coming up, I did exactly that. I reached out. You don't even have to talk. Like I said, talking is great. Phone call, person to person. I always said that will always be the best deal. But an email anyway, communicate with them. You know what I did? I did what any smart person in my position would do. I reached out to some companies. I did it on the Sire guitar. I reached out to no, not the Sire guitar. I did it on the Epiphone. The Epiphone, I reached out to the store and I said, hey, I want to buy this guitar. I'm going to review it on my channel. If you give me, I think I said 8 or 10% off. Doesn't matter. If you give me a discount, I think it was 8 because I want tax. If you give me 8% off, I'll mention your store that I bought it from your store. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I get discount. They get this. So I did that with anybody that, hey, give me a deal. How can we work together on this? What's the benefits of this? I know a lot of you guys don't have that option. You can't go, hey, I'll talk about you on my Facebook page. Maybe that's not as impressive sometimes, but doesn't matter. Ask for the deal. Let them tell you no. All right. Corey Duke says, I just got my Bogner Helos. Am I saying that right? I'm going to say close. In the mail about 2 hours ago. Holy cow. No, literally, I just said holy cow and read his holy cow at the same time. What's that? What do you call that? Jinx? Jinx. It's so good. I have a matching 412 with greenbacks and V30s coming tomorrow. Nice. I love Bogner. Man, Bogner's great amps. That is an amp that I will eventually end up with. I will probably the amp I want is the Bogner Ecstasy 50 watt with the dual EL34s. That's the amp. That's good. The only thing that pushed me off about it is I think about it, but I know if I get it and I like it, then it's essentially going to kill the Archon and something else. Because again, I can only have you can only have a couple amps that sound the same with each other. I don't have infinite space or funds to make 50 amps make sense. So it just can't be done. So I keep right now. I think it's the most obnoxious I think I've ever been with amps. Guitars wise, I have less guitars now than I did when I started my channel by far. It just looks different because you see them all in rows now. But remember, I used to have the amp row and the pedals, and I used to not have them all in this one room. So I have less guitars than I used to have, but I have more amps than I used to have. Right now I have like I don't want to count them. I'm going to say there's 9 amps here. I used to have 3, maybe 4 tops, and then it just ballooned up to 9. Okay. Tinkerbell says, word up, good brother. Word up. Says, I'm excited about the new KYG content coming for the Cause View. You know it, metal. So, yes, awesome. And like I said, I don't know if I told you guys, but the first in the new series of, I do the guitars and do the Sharp Max. I got to finish the first one I actually started that I didn't know I started, which is that, remember the one where I plucked the Squire from Sweetwater? I'm going to have the next Sharp Max will be that guitar. Because I have like I said, a viewer's guitar. That will be after this. But it will be that guitar because I want to give you an update. Did the Plex stay more than 30 days? Did it work out? You know how to work? And then what are we going to do with that guitar? And sharpen it, and then I'll put that guitar up for sale. Remember we talked about that? What are we going to do with that guitar? And we'll do that. We'll put it up for sale and churn that money into more guitars. And then sometimes we'll do some charity stuff. Like I said, we'll balance it out as we always try to do on the channel. I don't know how to say the name, and this is the one I said earlier. AS? I don't know. AES? AES? Yes, I have no idea. The last name is Cleese, so I'm going to say Cleese. It says, my Ernie Ball VP Junior has a switch on the circuit board. What does it do? I think your VP, I don't know what that is, the VP Junior. So let me look at the guitar. I don't need to see the switch or even that. I just need to see the guitar. So it's the Ernie Ball VP Junior. And I'll share. Oh, it's not a guitar. Is that what I just assumed it's a guitar. It's Ernie Ball VP Junior has a switch on the board. It's a volume pedal. I have that pedal, and I don't know what the switch does. That's horrible. But let's look. I'm going to look at it. I just need to see a picture of it. Okay. I feel horrible. I don't see it. I mean, I assume it does have it in there. Oh, this is so quiet. Yeah, I get it. I see that it has All right, let's find it. We're going to find the answer. Somewhere in this stupid thing. Somebody's probably putting the answer right now in the comments. Some of you guys probably already found it. Do you guys, anyone have the answer? I'm just curious. Because like I said, I have that pedal. I don't. Oh, it's a taper switch. Okay. I've never opened and looked inside mine. In fact, it's funny that you say that because I just had to clean the potentiometer. Mine it was all crackling, and I cleaned it out, and I didn't even look to see. It's one of those things. So I don't know. But if it helps, I have that foot switch. It's one of those things. I'm going to go look at it after this show. And then Keith Bates says, any words on the Epiphone Muse? Any word? Well, I ordered it. They shipped it. It shipped yesterday. And so it's on its way. It will be a review / Sharpen My Axe video for that. I ordered the one in almond metallic. It's gorgeous. I love it. So it's like, I can tell you, of all the guitars I ordered, and bought for these videos, there was 2 guitars. I don't want to share, obviously one of them is Epiphone. There was 2 guitars that I was like, man, I don't want to sell that. I know I'm going to want to keep it. So I figured, we'll figure that out as we go. I can tell you right now, at this point, if I get any guitar, something's got to go anyway. So if there's ever a guitar that I get that I end up wanting to keep for some reason, if I can justify it and make sense of it, I'll do it, and then I'll sell off something else, and we'll do something with that, and maybe I'll turn that money into charity or something. I'm not involved. You said I cheated and went to the manual. All right. There you go. Okay, so that was 2 hours and 20 minutes. That's the end of it for me for the voice. I can't go much longer. I want to thank you guys, or I appreciate and thank you guys for hanging out with me. I know, especially Thursday instead of the Friday. I hope you guys have a great weekend. And as always, thank you guys for supporting the channel every week. I know I missed a lot of people in the comments and stuff, and as always, thank you guys for hanging in. And it was fun. I hope you had fun. On that note, I'm going to let you guys go, and I will make sure I hit the button at the right time. All right, guys, thank you so much for your time. Till next week, know your gear.